Also, it could have been a ceremonial death of the name JonBenet Ramsey, and she's now actually Katy Perry.
Oh, is that another episode?
So I've heard
or
this
have
as
you
well,
got
but
shit
I
for
didn't.
that?
What happens when it comes to it?
In the
Thing. Oh, maybe they did. So in the back, there is a
light brown jacket.
cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you. Not another conspiracy
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast.
Oh, not another one.
Another one.
Another one.
In Michigan.
Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan. Is it Detroit, Michigan, or is it near?
Well, I'm in Northville now since moving. Northville.
Northville. In Northville, in a very... What an unoriginal name. Northville.
Sounds posher.
It sounds posh, but they stole it, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Northville,
yeah.
we have Dean Salter.
How you doing, people? Lovely to be here.
And in York, still in lockdown, Mr. JJ Jackson.
Sorry, I gave
Hello.
a bit of a rocky intro there.
How is everyone?
Doing all right, man.
It's
Good.
in lockdown.
And in Southend-on-Sea, we have Mr. Ben Moon.
Fucking chef Ed, bruv.
Got a new microphone.
I did notice you had a new microphone.
New microphone. This is the Shure
Oh, you have? Yes.
SM7B. It is the
Oh.
the ultimate microphone. There
Please,
isn't
please sponsor us.
there
Please,
isn't
please
there
sponsor us.
isn't a better microphone than this.
I must
That
admit,
is the
that does
best
sound
microphone.
pretty sexy, man.
This is the vocal
I'd fuck your
microphone
mouth.
that I've used. I've used this vocal microphone on every recording I've ever done that wasn't done in my house until now. Now I can do them in my house.
It is a good microphone.
It
I
does
nearly
sound
invested
good.
in one, but then I don't have a job right now, so it's...
I'm just trying to get my tax bill lower, so I'm just buying things.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm the same. I've just been ordering loads and loads of inks and tattoo needles
Yeah.
to never be able to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you have a job where you can use media stuff. I can't literally just use inks and needles in my house.
That's
just,
it, yeah.
Just tattoo loads of just pig skin. Oh no, you're vegan.
Banana skins. Isn't
Vegan as
that
fuck.
with tattooists? You can.
Yeah, you can tattoo
banana skins?
any kind of skin. You can tattoo anything if you want.
Why don't you just
One of my
tattoo-
friends, Nixon, once wanted me to tattoo his tooth because it's the same material apparently that your fingernails are made from, and you can tattoo them. So, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he read that on a wonky back of a cereal
Yeah.
box or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, mate.
Not a tooth. Not a tooth. Yeah. If I
So
draw
this
the line
is-
anyway.
The first time we've spoken since our last podcast, which was the
It
Flat
is.
Earth. David
Which
Weiss.
was great. If I'm completely honest, it was. I went into there thinking it was going to be an absolute shit show, but it actually turned out one of the most impressive episodes I think we did. To be honest, and
Yeah.
I'm quite
Enjoyable.
proud of you all as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, like on the day, I was like, yeah, you know what? He's got a point. But when you obviously with Huxley in the Discord, who's like preparing a rebuke.
Right, yeah, like a mutiny almost immediately.
I had to make him his own channel on the Discord that he could dump all this information that he had.
Because he ran out of characters everywhere else. He
Yeah.
just literally ran out of
Like-
letters.
So I just sit there and I'm like, mute. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to let him do it.
Bless his heart.
So we're going
Bless
to do
his
an
heart.
episode with Huxley, our Discord mod, who's going to come on and we're going to basically talk to him like he's this globe version of David Weiss.
Yeah.
No,
Sounds interesting.
he's got about as much science background as David anyway. So
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a GCSE.
yeah, barely.
Pound
yeah.
for pound, they're going to be. It's
They're
going to be a
equals,
scrap.
But you know, David was really great guest. I really enjoyed having him on. And
Absolutely.
I don't think he's crazy at all. I think he believes his thing, and there's, like I said on the day, that there's no proof for me that there's a globe, and there's no proof that there's flat Earth because I've not been up there. I've not.
I was going to say the only way you're ever going to find out is being up there, and you ain't going up there, are you? So,
I think one of the most interesting things for me that he delved into was the UFO underwater vibe. I was well into that. I was just like, that makes loads more sense than anything. Like,
and the extraterrestrials coming over from
and it makes to me that was one of the most intriguing parts about that whole entire episode, and it was very apt too, considering that only recently before that there were two pieces of video footage of some blue orb being spotted in California that then plummeted into the ocean, and they've had recorded police calls, and they've had to report it as an actual fucking incident. Like, these people genuinely saw this thing hovering around and then just descended into the water. So it's quite fucking bizarre, to be honest.
Underwater UFOs.
But today's episode, though, left field, man.
It's not as light-hearted as Flat Earth.
No.
But it's definitely as requested. I think it's the case of JonBenet Ramsey.
And for English or British viewers, at least, that aren't aware of a lot of stateside stuff, this is the Madeleine McCann kind of version.
Yeah, and we'll get to how it could possibly be linked.
What? No, you're pulling my leg.
I'm not pulling your leg at all. Absolutely not. No.
Okay, I'm strapping in.
But we'll wait and we'll get to that. That's on my list.
The first hurdle I got was I've been calling it for the last 2 weeks, JonBenet, and my missus is like, "What?
Who's JonBenet?
What are you talking about?" And I was like, JonBenet, that little beauty pageant girl, and she's like, "Oh, JonBenet." I'm like, "Yeah, that one." Because then I was like, "Hang on a second,
JonBenet.
A dad's called JonBenet as well. What the fuck is this all about?"
I'm sorry, but if the child was called JonBenet, there wouldn't be a mystery of who killed her. The parents immediately
would have killed herself.
You called her JonBenet, for fuck's sake.
She's not for herself.
Her brother's called Burke. I mean, it's like, do you know what I mean? They weren't first place at giving names out.
The only other person that I know of Burke was a complete wanker, and he was in Aliens. He was a character in Aliens, so...
I know someone called Burke, but his surname's Burkett. So.
Burke.
Yeah,
Isn't Fat Mike's a Burkett?
Yeah, he's a Burkett.
From NoFX, he's a Michael Burkett.
Yeah. So yeah, JonBenet Ramsey, who was basically she was paraded around by her mum to paedophiles on a weekly basis. She won 24 pageants.
And how old was she before she passed? 6, and she had won 24.
So she's won 24, unless she was fucking amazing and she won every single one she entered. How many did she enter to win 24?
Like that, what did that child do in her childhood? Like
That's
at the age of 6, I think I was still being convinced to take my bloody finger out my nose as a kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've got a 4-year-old and it's a struggle to get her out of the house, to put clothes on. Come on, we'll go to see Nan. No, I want to go. I don't want to go. Why? I don't know. There's no way I could have taught my child to do any of those tricks. Not that I would anyway, because it's fucking disgusting. It is the worst. I've not watched any of the pageants, but I've seen clips in when I've watching documentaries about it.
Right, yeah,
of course. It is literally going, here you go, paedophiles. Here's a strip show for you.
Well, there was recently a bit of commotion with Netflix had put on something about French.
Tiny
Twerkers.
Called Tiny Twerkers or something like that.
Yeah, and it was something about them, and then they had to have it removed. But then there was some link to that Hollywood director who I can't remember what the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I do know. Yeah, because he tweeted a load of shit out, didn't he?
Yeah, saying it's like the best watching he's seen in ages and blah blah blah, and everyone was like, and it also said for mature audiences in the title, and it was R-rated as well, but it was like just kids at a
James
beauty
Gunn.
pageant, like so it was a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Though that whole for the listeners and the viewers, JonBenet, she was a child to JonBenet and Patsy Benet, and she was paraded around. Ramsey, excuse me, Ramsey, and she was paraded around as a beauty pageant like monstrosity, as far as I'm concerned. When that sort of stuff to me is, I don't have children. I'm not even interested in having children. But the idea of using I'm not beating around with words. You're using your child for success.
Patsy was a pageant.
Yes.
So she's just trying to live vicariously for her daughter.
Right, yeah, and it was they would parade her around these beauty pageants, and as Ben said, she'd won 24 beauty pageants at the age of 6. Now, let's be honest, I
haven't won 24 things.
No,
I'm 35.
No,
I'm 35, and I haven't won 24 things in anything.
You've got to think as well. We're not talking about from age 1 to 6. We're because there's no, again, I don't know how beauty pageants work.
Probably 2, I think they start them at.
That's what I'm saying. So in a very small, minute amount of time, this child was just fucking paraded around as a puppet in front of...
If she hadn't died at 6, she probably would have died from a heroin overdose at 16.
Right, yeah.
Look at Corey Feldman.
Yes, or tried to disown her parents.
Yeah, look, Macaulay Culkin. Child stars don't end well. I think
never end well.
Never end well. Apart from what's his name, Samwise Gamgee.
Which one's that? Samwise Gamgee.
He was in Goonies.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Sean Astin. Astin. But he's probably
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, but he wasn't that young, was he? He wasn't.
No, he was kind of borderline teenager,
15, 16, wasn't he?
Same. But yeah, so she wasn't. She didn't lead a normal life, And these beauty pageants, as obviously listeners and viewers, you probably agree that both JJ and Ben and myself completely fucking against the idea.
If
they're sick. They are
you're
weird.
Listening and your kid's in a pageant, think about what you're doing to your child.
Yeah.
You're basically giving them to paedophiles.
Yes, and I think we can always relate South Park to these controversial things as well, because South Park depicted an incredible episode to beauty pageants, and the judges were just sleazy fucking slime balls sitting there masturbating under a table.
They did one in Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well.
Oh, they did. I have not seen it. So.
Yeah, Frank did one. It's pretty.
I'll have to check that out.
Pretty grim.
There's also that weird scene in Donnie Darko as well, where they're kind of beauty pad. They're a dance troupe, aren't they?
Yeah, but
they're all very young, and the woman's very pushy, and then Patrick Swayze turns out that he
not in real life.
Oh no, not in real life.
And it's
he had a paedophile. He had a porn dungeon, didn't he, of child porn?
Yeah, again, the character, not Patrick Swayze.
No.
It's so you sit there and you Google JonBenet and you don't get any sort of depiction of a 6-year-old child being a 6-year-old child. So clearly
it's purely sexualized. It's a sexualized 6-year-old.
Yeah, and this child really clearly did not lead a normal life in any way, shape, or form.
She would
just to point out, one of the categories in beauty pageant, child pageants is swimwear.
No, stop.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's grim.
Yeah.
She would have to start doing every night at 10 p.m. So this is 10 p.m. at night. She would go through her whole routine with her mum every night.
I couldn't imagine a parent being like that. And I know they exist, but it's still just too fantastic.
And when you listen to Patsy Ramsey talk, she's so unlikable. She's dead.
Oh
now.
Yeah, fucking knows
she's dead now. She died of cancer, so she probably got it from being such an evil wench. She was horrible. She was horrible, horrible person.
Sorry, you have terminal 4 cancer that is also known as you fucking deserve it.
Yeah. And we'll get more into it once we go through like the timeline and that. But like, her body language in some of her interviews is just sort of like, just pass the buck. Like, we didn't do it. We've got like, we've investigated this ourselves. We paid for the best investigators, the best.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Like, and we didn't do it. Like, we did not do it. Like, it's really snarky. It's just like, she's just not likable, and it makes you think, oh, maybe she did.
And it leads you down that
it makes you think that she did. And like, again, like, I'm not fully sure and who done it, and I haven't heard everyone's evidence yet. I think we've all done a little bit of different research and different.
A little bit here and there. Yeah.
I'm not convinced that she did it, but she's definitely the most. She's the one. If it was someone in the family, she's definitely got the most involvement in it.
Right, of course.
But should we go through the timeline?
Yes. So for listeners and viewers as well, unfortunately, JonBenet was found dead in very mysterious, odd, peculiar circumstances. And to this day, it still has just not been able to be solved. So
I just think they gave up. Like, they gave up trying to solve it, I think.
Yeah.
Because there was no evidence. Like, really, and
the evidence that there is just so fucked. That
because
you can't.
The investigation was bungled, I think is the word.
Bungled, good word, nice.
Bungled by
Zippy.
the Boulder Police Department. So December the 23rd, 1993, a 911 call is made from the Ramsey home. 3 days before the body was found, a 911 call is made from the home, but on January the 10th, it's reported that it was likely a mistake made during a house party.
Which is,
so I know it's that there's not, it doesn't, and nothing leads on from that. But there was a 911 call 2 days before the murder, or that they made theirs.
Who makes a false 911 call at like a party? Like,
I've done it loads.
I'm not gonna lie. When I've been younger and I've been at like family parties and stuff, there's always that little urge in you just to be like, what happens if I do actually dial 999 and see what happens? I know I'm just putting it out there. Like, I'm not saying I tried it, but I'm just saying there's always that little.
There is curiosity.
Let's just see what happens.
My cousin did it. My cousin called 999 when he was a kid, and I think his mum was downstairs. He called 999, but then hung up the phone. But he didn't hang up properly, so obviously, like, it's just dead line. Like, and they're like, "Hello."
Yeah.
4 police cars, a helicopter, and an ambulance showed up at his house.
Must have been a quiet day in the office. Fuck
me. What the fuck is going on? Because my nan lived across the road from my auntie. She said it was fucking mental.
That's it. You fucking ring the police now, and it takes them a week to come and get you. Just lying in a pool of blood.
Well, they live in Southminster, which is like in the middle of nowhere, so there's not much going on anyway.
All right.
So on December the 25th, JonBenet gets a bike for Christmas. And after attending at a Christmas party hosted by a family friend, Fleet White, the Ramseys go home and JonBenet goes to bed.
And that's Christmas Day, basically, then, Christmas Day.
Yeah, so some theories say that she snuck back downstairs and fought with her brother over a late-night snack of pineapple. Indeed, the undigested tropical fruit was found in her stomach.
So we can get onto that. We can get onto that.
Yeah. I was going to say it leads on further then.
Yeah. So that leads on to did the brother do it?
Yeah. This is where like kind of like the bomb drops on the whole entire incident.
So at 5:30 in the morning, Patsy Ramsey wakes up because they've got to get a private charter flight to their home in Michigan.
Oh, fuck me. And this is December 26th now, correct?
Yeah, this is the morning they find that.
Okay.
And as she goes downstairs to get a coffee, she discovers a 2.5-page handwritten ransom note on the back stairs leading to the kitchen that says her daughter has been kidnapped. 2.5 pages, though. No one writes a ransom note that's 2.5 pages long.
I was going to say, there's never once, I don't think the only ever time I think I've ever witnessed like these ransom notes that are like massive and long are in movies, and it turns out being the person that you thought it was all along.
Yeah.
And they're all cut out from pieces of paper. So imagine there's a 2-page one. Just like fucking massive letters from like Hello magazine, just like, and then having to space all the other letters out just to fit in between. They're like trying to do letterpress bit again.
Yeah, I mean, there's bits in it like you will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in 100 bills, and the remaining in 18,000 in $20 bills. The note demanded, according to Psychology Today, oddly, that there was the exact amount that John's Christmas bonus.
Yeah, I was through my research when I was looking at that, like when it was focusing on this like ransom note that had been discovered, the specifics of this like $118,000 and how it coincidentally led with the dad's recent bonus at his business being rather fucking like close to it, which was odd, very peculiar.
Yeah, it either lends itself to being whoever wrote the ransom note, because bear in mind that the ransom note was written on Patsy Ramsey's notepad with Patsy Ramsey's pen.
And Patsy Ramsey's handwriting.
And very close to Patsy Ramsey's handwriting. Like
now, during my research,
the handwriting isn't based on the shapes of the letters exclusively. It's the weight of the weight,
the indentation,
and all that. It's all based on the actual glyphs.
Right.
It's based on like how the weight is done, the angle of the hand, like certain ways the pens hold and stuff. So it's not just like the shape of the letters. And she's, I mean, in her interview, she goes, well, it wasn't that close. It was inconclusive. So that leads me to think that maybe because John's hand was like, no, it's not his. So to be that close.
Yeah. So when I was doing like my pieces of research with it as well, what I found quite interesting was how the fact that they find this like ransom note on the stairs, wasn't it? On the back stairs of the house or something like this. And
it's left there.
And they just immediately assume that JonBenet is missing. Like, I don't ever recall hearing any evidence of them like rushing to her room to try and like discover, is she there? It was just more of a case of, oh fuck, I found.
It's never part of the time. It's never part of their timeline when they talk about it either. They don't go and check on Burke. They never say they went and checked on Burke.
That's what just
their timeline's like, we saw the ransom note and we called the police straight away, and then we called our friends.
It just doesn't make it just doesn't make
and invited our
any
friends around
sense.
to contaminate the evidence.
What was also odd to me as well when they were talking about the ransom note that was discovered, that we'll obviously get a little bit further when the police turn up, but allegedly that a draft had been found or something had been found close by to the notepad where they had tried writing a ransom note like prior, and then was like, so that's what I'm saying. Some of the research that I was doing, they were saying in the investigation that along with the notepad that was discovered that was Patsy's, and the pen, they had also discovered that on the notepad there was evidence of a ransom note draft that had been half written and then stopped and then kind of like torn away and thrown away, and they had found that through like indentations and stuff.
Yeah, because it was somebody said it was like a practice note, didn't they?
But immediately, red flag. What kidnapper that knows what they're doing and is demanding all of this like money and doesn't write the ransom note prior to engaging in what they plan on doing?
Someone explained it to me on, I can't remember which one I was listening to, but it does make sense. Like a lot of people who write ransom notes, they don't write the ransom note until they get there, because if you're caught breaking and entering, you probably get a fine and community service. If you get caught with a ransom note, you get done for kidnap.
Oh, so there's like a there's a technicality to it.
You wouldn't write the ransom note until you got to a location, because if you're caught breaking and entering, then you can get away with just breaking and entering. If you're caught with a ransom note, then it's a whole nother charge. That's the theory behind why it wouldn't.
Okay.
I can just imagine this like drunk Santa turning up like a day late, and then finding fucking John's payslip on the door, like, why the fuck am I paying for presents when this cunt's getting 118 grand in bonuses? Yeah. And he's like, I'll fucking show him, and he's writing this drunk note.
Yeah. I'm gonna tease her. So yeah, I mean, because we'll definitely get into John's line of work later, because that is another area of where it could be like.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
in the ransom note, they talk about being a faction, a foreign faction of like-minded individuals and shit like that.
God's sake.
Someone's come to Dean's door. It's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The ransom note is like mental. Like they talk about foreign factions, and you're not the only fat cat, and like it seems like it's made out to be like a ransom note because of his job, which was he worked for something graphics, and they were owned by Lockheed Martin.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, and are still are.
Wow.
His company was worth $1 billion.
Fucking hell.
So
We have. Sorry, go ahead. Ben,
So
sorry.
he's so anyone in the UK doesn't know who Lockheed Martin on. They basically run wars. They're in charge of wars, and all the news outlets like Fox, CNN, all sponsored and
military
funded,
armament developers, basically.
all funded by Lockheed Martin.
Also nicknamed Skunkworks. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I
the
think
Skunkworks.
if anything, that is probably just a name of something that they do there.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, I think
deviating
it's
with that.
Lockheed and Skunkworks. That's what the
And they Black
because
Ops,
it's security defense.
Yeah.
It's defense, and they basically build security systems, don't they? And homing missiles and shit like that.
So I have the ransom note.
Oh,
here
can you
typed
read
up.
it
Do you want me to
Can you read it with your voice changer
with
on?
my voiceover? I don't,
Yeah.
I don't
Have
know
you got
what
Santa on there?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. I've got.
Oh,
At the moment, I haven't got the software open to open it, but I do apologise. But
I'll just put the effect on afterwards.
oh, if you want to, then, yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can actually get it going. In actual fact, because it shouldn't take a moment, but
It shouldn't take a moment, but yeah.
Oh no, it's being a pain in the dick. Anyway, yes,
Yeah.
you can edit this over then, Ben. Okay. Ransom note is as follows. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We exploited out as if they've crossed it out. So it says, we respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want to see her 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché with a foreign exclamation point, like an accent on the E. So make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence a earlier delivery, scratched out, pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instruction will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains from proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. Go on, JJ.
Can I just cut in? Just for the people who are listening, well, even anybody, the actual note says, the people who are looking after your daughter do particularly like you, but they've forgot to put in the not part, so they've put it in a little triangle, just pointing, saying do not particularly like you, just to point that out.
Just do a brief.
They couldn't quite decide. They were like, the people who are looking after your daughter really do like you. Oh no, sorry, they don't like you. That's fine.
If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. I think that's some kind of Cockney slang in America or something like that. Seeing a man about a dog. If we see you talking about a dog, possibly, she dies. If you alert bank authority, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic. She dies. It's Dolph Lundgren, isn't it? It's Dolph Lundgren. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but we warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Victory, signed SBTC. That ransom note, when you look at it in its language and the way it's delivered, it sounds like someone in a panic writing, as far as I'm concerned.
Does anybody know Santa Claus's middle names?
No.
Just saying. Benet Thomas Claus?
Oh,
Santa
SBTC.
Benet Thomas Claus.
Shit.
Just saying.
There's parts of that ransom note where I think Patsy Ramsey isn't smart enough to write that ransom note.
No.
Yeah.
The language, I feel like, would be completely different, or it would be a lot shorter and blunt.
It'd be like, but also, like, it lends me to think, like, it might be real, but then the kid's dead.
It could also be him, even though we're probably getting a bit too far into it now, but it could be him dictating to her what to write. But we won't talk about it yet, because it all depends on what our theories are on why and who and
so
whatnot,
after obviously they read the note, they called the police and Patsy calls 911, and I was going to play the 911 call now.
You could, if you can edit that, yeah, sure.
I'm just going to play it. I can play it into the stream.
Sweet. Be interested to hear this,
because it is. Let's listen to it first.
Okay.
Oh, fucking ads! You didn't hear that, can you?
No, we can't hear the ad. No.
So I'm gonna shut up. Right.
I can't hear any of it.
Right. No, I'm just trying to get it. Right. Here we go. You guys ready for possibly the least convincing
911 call about your lost daughter?
It just, the way she speaks is just crazy.
Okay, let's see.
What's going on? 5515.
Can you hear that?
What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
Oh, I just want to hear the 911. I don't want...
I was going to say,
anyway,
sound effect.
Yeah. So, but that first bit, like, we might as well dissect it while I try and find the next bit. So we have a kidnapping. Like, it's not how you would... You would go, yeah, we have a kidnapping. You're like, my daughter's been fucking kidnapped.
Yeah, my daughter's gone.
Now.
My daughter's gone. Like, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that is all any parent would scream. My daughter's gone.
Yeah.
Someone's taken my daughter.
Yeah.
A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's blonde. 6 years old.
How long ago was it?
I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's gone.
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says SBTC. Victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Patsy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please, we just got out and she's right here. Oh my God, please.
Okay,
please, there's somebody.
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath,
please,
okay?
Hurry.
Patsy.
The body.
I love the sound effects.
Yeah, I mean, does that sound like someone that's like, you know?
To me, it doesn't sound like anyone. Right, it sounds like someone impersonating Panic to me. I don't think any normal person would. Well, I say normal.
Please.
I mean, you're forgetting they're from like middle class America. The house is probably like fucking massive. She probably ran all the way from the fucking
7,000 square foot.
Oh, do you actually know that? Is that big? I'm not very good at size.
That's pretty large. That's
It's 7,000 square foot.
what made me realise that their house was large anyway is when I was doing my research and they mentioned that the
7,000 square feet it was.
The ransom note was found on the back staircase. I was like, oh right, so they've got 2 staircases, one at the front and the back of the house. I was like, so the house is pretty fucking large then. Like,
yeah.
So
wow,
and it's not like a fire exit out of a flat. It's like it's the back stairs to the kitchen, so the servants could get into the kitchen without waking up the rest of the family.
Right.
That's right.
So now, granted, I've never obviously had to make a 999 call like that, or have probably ever felt that I'm in a position where, well, I had to call 999 once for my dad when he was early on in his cancer battle, and I could hear him moaning and crying basically in bed, and he was coughing up blood. He had pneumonia basically, and I was in panic because I was like, fuck, like this is bad. And I was able to, it's not the same as a child going missing, but granted, my fucking heart was bouncing out of my chest. I was on the brink of tears because I was just like, this is curtains for the old man.
Your fight or flight kicks in, doesn't it? So you would have been you knew what to say, when to say it.
And granted as well, I was a lifeguard at the time, so I was relatively trained to be able to compose myself in. I'm talking like I'm a paramedic or something. I'm not, but like basically. When it comes to lifeguarding, though, in certain, like, again, I've had to resuscitate someone. I'm kind of quite good at composing myself to get information across positively, accurately, and quickly. And I would think that Patsy, being the person that she is, I would like to think that she's a very blunt, straightforward, sharp as a knife's edge person as to when it comes to talking or doing things for her daughter. Now, her daughter is worth how much money to her? Like, if she's a beauty pageant finalist, has won 24 fucking beauty pageants.
I think she was on course to like winning a car or something, was the next.
Well,
but they're rich anyway, so
yeah, they're rich anyway. But at the same time, this is clearly Patsy's pride and like greatest possession. That if JonBenet was alive today, she would most likely be like a pop star or a dancer or an actress or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? But I would like to assume that if something was to happen at a beauty pageant, if something was to go missing, that's JonBenet's, and it would be like chaos for the mother, she would be fucking accurate in her accusations and like, this has gone missing. We agreed with this, and just my idea on how a person like her would work.
She's a Karen.
Very ultimate elite.
Get me the manager.
Elite Karen. For her to kind of be reacting like that, I would imagine if JonBenet was killed by outside strangers and I would like to think that they would have composed themselves a little more before making the phone call, or at least in the moment, the fight or flight would have kicked in, and her prized possession would have been 110%.
Get someone here now. We need to find my daughter.
Right, exactly.
So I was listening to a.
I can't imagine her being like that.
Yeah, I was listening to a like a body language specialist talk about the 911 call, and they went that you could tell that there's an act happening because she's giving up information that isn't being asked. Like you on a 911 call, 999
interesting.
Call, you instantly hand over authority to the person on the other end. Like if you're because you're like, they're gonna help me. I need someone to help me, so they're gonna help me. So I'll just answer them. Whenever I made one, my wife went into labor at home and I didn't know what to do. But as soon as I rang the paramedic, I was like, hello, I need to speak to paramedic. My wife's going to... And I switched because I was going from, oh, fuck, what we're going to do to, okay, right.
Yeah.
What do I need to do next? Okay, right. We need to run the bath, blah, blah, blah. Right, okay, right. There's someone coming. Oh, thank you. Right. How long has she gone? Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Is this the due date? Blah, blah, all that. Yes. And you only give up information that you were asked for. She's going... When she asked how old she's blonde, she's got this, her name's JonBenet. Like, she's given up more information than she needs to.
Yeah, okay.
So it's something that you wouldn't do in that situation. You wouldn't go, she's blonde. Like, how old is she? She's blonde.
Like, what is that?
Like, it's things like that where they're like, she slips up, and her breathing, like, you're like, listen to her way she's breathing. She's going, if you try and do that for the length of that call without talking, you'll start getting a light head. Like,
Yeah,
it's clearly like there's a bit of acting going on. Maybe not completely, but there's a bit of like pushing it over the edge to
and
believe.
I'm one that can vouch for anxiety. I suffer terribly with anxiety and have been doing so with moving into this condo recently. And when you start getting to a point where your heart is deliberately, your body is almost hyperventilating itself, at no point do I just continue going. I sit there and I'm like I deliberately go into like calm myself the fuck down mode. And you don't seem to hear that. Like, you don't seem to like almost composing yourself. Like you're saying, Ben, you're talking to someone that is immediately in control, that will give you answers and that will get you into the situation that you need to be able to try and find your daughter. Like that, at that point, surely you must start feeling more relaxed.
She doesn't give the address. At no point does she go, "This is our address."
Oh shit, she doesn't, does she?
No, she hangs up before they give us the address. Like, so.
Oh.
Like, there's no info. Like, she. It's like almost like, oh, we need to do the 911 call now. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, like it's a script, right?
Tick the box. Oh, we haven't done the 911 call. Yeah, like, call 911. We called 911 at 6 a.m. Blah blah blah. Right. So, well, after that 911 call, a police officer Rick French arrives. Hello, my name is Rick French. Hello. He arrives.
I can't remember the bloody peak drama of the guy with the monocle and the little moustache.
Poirot.
Poirot.
The Belgian director.
Oh, he's Belgian. Yeah, hello.
He does it, but right. So Rick French shows up and does a search of the house. Right. So I listened to another podcast by it's called Tangent. I have to say it because it is really good. It's really informative. It's called the Tactical Tangents podcast. So they're two police officers that have got their own podcast, and they basically talk about true crime, but they talk about it from the police perspective. So
interesting.
Really good. And they say, so when the police officer Rick French arrives and he does his search of the house.
Yeah.
Search. In a good house. I got to look at Ramsey house. So he does it. Rick French by name. French by name. French by name. Oh, JonBenet.
I don't think he is French.
but anyway.
he literally, like, they say when they're doing a search for a body, they go like, this is like police 101. You pick a wall in the house and you follow it round. You follow that wall round, and then once you've done that wall, you find the next wall and you follow that round. And along the way, you're looking for evidence. You're not just looking for the body. You're looking for evidence. You're looking for like signs of entry. And then once you've done your search, you swap with someone that's done another search somewhere else, and you search somewhere you haven't been before, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's double eye. It's like second eyes.
And that's how. And for him not to have done that and just kind of looked around the house and gone, "Yep, she's been kidnapped." Like, this is not a kid that's gone missing. This is a ransom note. So the kid's gone, like, apparently.
Yeah.
And the search is one police officer, and apparently he got to the door where the body was.
Yeah.
And he just walked to the door and didn't open it.
Yeah, and it had a latch on the door as well, so it would imply that it was openable.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a wooden door without a handle. It had a latch on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
If he'd opened that door, he would have found the body straight away.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And he just didn't. He didn't.
Didn't open the door. And then, so early afternoon. So I think it was 6 hours later.
So there's you're suspect about that fucking dude to begin with. Like, he's whoa. I can't believe.
And we don't know, like.
Well, let's just presume that the police took half an hour to get there. There isn't a lot of.
Yeah.
Don't know if there's any. Let's just say that the police got there at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or let's just round it up. Let's even just say 7.
Well, apparently,
for the benefit of the doubt.
I think they got there before. Yeah. So before 6 a.m., she calls 911, and they get there around. Let's just say 7. So 6 hours later, the first detective shows up. Linda
6
Arndt.
hours later.
She pulls aside John and White. Who's White? Oh,
Fleet White is the guy. Is their friend,
and that's another thing that happened after they hung up the phone on 911. Bear in mind, she couldn't talk to the 911 caller because she was so frantic. She called not one but 2 sets of friends to come over.
And one of the sets of the friends were the people who they were having dinner with the night before.
Christmas dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. So, John and White, who had come over to console his friends, Aunt tells them to do a top-to-bottom search of the home. So they let John and the friend do the search.
Just search the home as well. And this
Bear in mind, so John hasn't even searched the house yet. He's taken a detective. He's taken a detective to tell him to go and look for his daughter in the house.
Well, yeah,
and that just shows you how big that fucking house was.
This is the thing that fucking confuses me about a lot of it and immediately raises alarms, is the fact that you found a ransom note and you haven't once decided to just go and like, oh shit, are the kids okay? Like, are they really okay?
I mean, one of the questions you've got to presume that the woman, Patsy, has got up in the night. She doesn't say that she's gone to her kid's room first. She says she's found this ransom note first, right? Is that what I'm thinking?
That is what happened, yeah.
So that would be, like what you said, would be the first thing you would go to the room to see if it's bullshit. The fact that there's no mention of it, whether she does or not. But also as well, you would just be like, why do I you wouldn't just read the note and be like, she has been kidnapped. You just presume that she hadn't. Like, it would feel like a dream. You would be like, nah, this is bullshit. I'm going to search my fucking own house. My own house for this body. Everywhere. But I'd have done that before even ringing the police.
Of course.
And I mean, we live in like that kind of well, my mum especially lives in that nature. My dad fell at Christmas and she didn't even want to ring the ambulance because we thought he'd broken his hip. And she was like, I don't want to be bothering him. I'm like, but Dad's nearly broken his fucking hip, Mum. Do you know what I mean?
don't want to bother them.
She's like, yeah, but they've got other things. And I was like, they're a fucking public service. Like, just fucking ring them. And this is what I mean.
Blood disease from that.
Yeah. This woman's just like, this woman's not even fucking like looked around the house. She's rang the police straight away, just like, oh my God, my kid, something's going on.
It feels like they're trying to draw attention to the ransom note straight away. Like,
yes, exactly.
Like,
and the fact so why on earth would they call the family that they had the Christmas party with? Like, obviously they're best friends, but like, they were there the night before. Why would you that would just be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Like,
the whole thing just reeks.
Or do you think that would be a false sense of security on the Ramseys themselves, as if to sit there and be like, well, if we get our friends here, they believe us, so that'll only account for like the belief to leading it to the ransom note and the belief that she's actually gone.
Yeah, you're essentially creating an alibi straight away, aren't you? Even though you're not, because or if you're a manipulator, maybe creating more suspects. I don't know. There is that.
Or it's the more people we have in the house now, the less forensic evidence to tie us to this, because they say, oh, they've just got here. Oh, well, so any footprints in the house, any fingerprints probably gone because they've had 6 new people in the house.
Yeah.
There was no forensic evidence basically because it was they had so many people in the house. People were coming and going. Like, it wasn't locked down. Like, it was a terrible bit of police work.
Before we go into very, very quickly, before we then start turning our attention to obviously when the police arrive and the detectives, JJ shared a message a moment ago saying that Michael Baden, however you pronounce the name, a board-certified forensic pathologist who had consulted with both sides of this case, said he had never seen a note like it in his 60-year experience and that he did not think it was written by an outside stranger. I could believe that. Like, I can absolutely believe that.
It's too, it just seems too fake.
And along with the reaction, from the initial realization of this ransom note, the non-looking for your daughter moment to then ringing the police with the red flags that you pointed out, with her giving non-information to the 911 operative on the other end, and also consulting the friends, almost like creating an alibi and a false sense of security as to what's going on. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of formation going on around the ransom note. Like you were saying, like they've got a tick box just sitting there going, right, we've done this, we've done that. Now that's probably going to look like we're being consoled by friends because of someone being missing.
Exactly.
And it makes me wonder as well then if the parents, if it's a bad accident that's occurred and they, instead of them going, oh shit, like our daughter's dead now thanks to us being complete and utter dickheads for some reason, we need to now make this look like something has occurred. If they were to sit there and be like, well, hold on a minute, we need to actually act like normal people and try to work out if she is missing and how she's gone missing. So then they would probably have to sit there and be like, well, we can't just put our feet up for like 2 hours and wait, because Burke will probably wake up and be like, oh, where's JonBenet? Like, I'm looking at it from various perspectives at the moment. What if the child wakes up, comes downstairs and is like, what's the commotion? Where's JonBenet? What's going on? Because then you're probably going to have to kill that kid as well, like for him to shut up. So to me, it's already sounding like that there's a plan or like a false alibi, like
in the works,
a pantomime is going ahead right now. There's theatrics being played out.
I would agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, totally. So, go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
It feels like they've had to come up with an emergency kind of like what happened, like how do we, right? Okay, ransom. That your job's like government shit. Let's get a ransom note in. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Okay.
At this point, it sounds like it wasn't planned. It sounds like an accident has occurred, and the parents or whatever have literally reacted in the sense of, "Fuck, we're going down for this," or "We are not getting out of this." What would this how could this situation play out if it really was out of our control?
Exactly.
So so now, and that's looking at it just from like we're on the fucking doorstep with this, like this whole entire thing at the moment, and already it's just like what the fuck.
So basically, they've contaminated the scene straight away.
Yeah,
the police haven't locked down the scene at all, and they've also it said that they at no point do they investigate the parents. They don't. There's no they don't separate the mum and dad and make sure they don't. They're talking like just normal things going on. Like again, back to this tactical tangent thing. You would any crime like this, 99% of the time, it's someone in the house. It's a family.
Yes.
Right? Even the ransom note, you discredit that straight away until you know for a fact that the child's missing.
Yeah, that's fucking so obvious.
Yeah. So they didn't separate Patsy and John. They kept them and they didn't take them in for questioning. Nothing. I think eventually on the 28th. Yeah, on the 28th, the family goes to Boulder Police Station and willingly gave hair and blood and handwriting samples.
Jesus Christ! Yeah. So who found the body?
So John and his friend went on did their sweep of the house. Bear in mind, the Boulder Police Department haven't done a search.
This was the White family, John and Mr. White or whatnot.
Mr. White, Fleet White. His name is Fleet. How rich is that name?
Yeah, Fleet White. Named after Fleetwood Mac and superiority.
And my favorite band of the White Stripes.
That's it.
I don't know why.
Sounds like a twat.
So John goes down to the wine cellar. They call it a basement, but it was a wine cellar
of course it was.
Opens the door, and there is little JonBenet hog-tied with a garrote. If anyone knows what a garrote is, it's basically a cord with Patsy Ramsey's paintbrush.
It's Hitman's favourite weapon. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Pulled tight around the neck, with a head wound and duct tape across the mouth. Apparently, she'd been raped, but there's other evidence to lead that it could be the fact that she's worn leotards and tights for her. There was no penetrative wounds.
Right.
The only this is disgusting to talk about, but I guess we have.
So I'll read that last bit. So it looked like she'd been strangled and her mouth and neck were covered with duct tape. He picked up the body, which is I guess is that the dad.
Yeah.
The dad. He had picked up the body and ran screaming upstairs.
Crime scene completely ruined straight away.
Yes, like contaminated.
Grabbed the body, contaminated it, pulled it upstairs. Yeah.
He later moved the body closer to the Christmas tree upstairs by bringing her upstairs and leaving the basement door open. Much of the evidence had therefore been became contaminated. 10:44 at 5 p.m., the Boulder County coroner's team removed the young girl's body from the house. It wasn't like from the initial 911 call, from what 911 call, sorry. It was 8 hours until her body was found in the fucking house.
So what do they do for 8 hours? Just sitting around having coffee? That's what they started going, oh, my baby, my baby.
What are the Boulder police doing? So immediately, to me, that sounds like there's corruption going on from the fucking get-go. Because you can't say that a detective that isn't something to do with the family or isn't... And let's be very fucking clear when it comes to these, like, small little communities of police. Like, they know particular people. And police departments are totally aware of who some people are. And wasn't it that one of the police, the police that were initially contacted, they had said that they felt they didn't need to search the house because a ransom note had been found. To me, that is fucking horseshit.
Also, just to point out on that theory, John had already made the arrangements to pay the ransom.
He went out and got it.
Is there any? Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is this is before they found the body. Policeman turns up. All right, just keep it quiet, but you're gonna find a child's body downstairs. There's 10 grand, or what? There was 118 grand there.
Right. So, oh shit. So, okay. So now,
that's enough to pay off an entire fucking police department.
Yeah. It gets even more muddier.
Yeah.
So he's gone out before the Boulder police have turned up.
We're in that 8 hour window before he.
In that 8 hour window. So he's just turned up with a fucking.
But before he's even searched his own fucking house. He's like, I know what I'll do. I'll go to the cash machine.
The Boulder police should have locked off the whole house and started dusting for fingerprints and looking for evidence. They didn't do that.
And at this time as well, Burke is still upstairs asleep.
Burke didn't come downstairs, apparently. According to his thing, he just stayed in bed. He didn't know what was going on. He just stayed in his room because he was worried.
In his interviews, we'll talk about later on, he said, I was just, he kind of blasé just says, I was catching up on some sleep. Like, how old was he? Yeah, how old was he?
He was 9.
He said something in this interview, and he was just like, I was just catching up on sleep. I didn't want to disturb anybody or something like. I'm just like, what the fuck? You hear your mum hysterical.
That is the most elitist white shit I have ever fucking heard.
Yeah. I'd have to warn the audio podcast listeners. There's a lot of inverted
exclamation marks being made with
for people who don't know what they are, they're bunny ears. But on each
a lot of bunny ears happening when we say stuff. Yeah.
Garth Algar from Wayne's World doing that on the side of his head whilst listening to Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
So December 28th, 1996, the Ramseys cooperate with authorities. As Ben mentioned a moment ago, the family goes to the Boulder police station and they willingly give hair, blood, and handwriting samples. The police later state that John's grown children, John, Andrew, and Melinda, were out of town when the murder occurred, so are not suspected.
John's already had one murdered daughter.
What?
Do you not know?
Fucking what is going on?
John's daughter, his other daughter, died in a suspicious car accident.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is with rich white people? What is with rich white people?
So he knows.
JJ looks so perplexed right
now.
I knew he had another family, and I knew that there was something. I caught it when watching something amiss had gone wrong with that relationship.
Yeah,
it ended badly, didn't it?
Another daughter had died in a car accident. I don't know what but it was a bit suspicious or something. I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I was like, oh, so he's already had one daughter die. You were like, oh, okay, so he's had a daughter die already. Maybe he just likes killing kids, like.
All right,
he wasn't quite hands-on enough with the first one.
Yeah.
He just cut the brake line. This time he really wanted to get involved.
Well,
do a Princess Diana.
I don't think John's got a lot to do with this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So with my research, again, we're going to get through the whole entire story, and it's maybe getting ahead of a few things. But
I'm going to disagree with you both. I think he does.
I like it.
I think he does have something to do with it hugely.
Oh, I'm interested. Yeah. Okay, I'll hold fire. We'll hold fire.
Massively.
Right, and then on the 29th, the family just go back to Atlanta. They just go. All right, let's go to Atlanta. this is dark. Like, just flee the state. Like,
that's like 3 days later. I
Yeah.
don't think if like
do you know what in those 8 hours, I forgot to say, do you know what they did? They lawyered up. They got they got a PR company.
oh, they're so rich.
They got
They are
lawyered up and they got a PR company and they got someone else. Oh, they hired their own private investigators.
In 8 hours.
In 8 hours. So they lawyered up, got a PR. Who gets a PR company? You get a PR company when you got a new fucking album coming out.
Wait a minute as well. I need to know. One of my theories is I'm going to need to Google this. I need to know what day, December 26th, 1990. What was it? 1995.
That's when they went back to the back in time in the DeLorean.
What day was
anything that has the number 25th?
It was okay. It was a Thursday, so the day after
Boxing Day.
The day it was right. Hold on. Boxing Day isn't a thing here in America, right? But people still do not go to work.
Yeah.
Fucking December 26th. What private investigator's office is open, or even PR company are sitting there?
Do you want to know? Do you know what lawyers or law firm they got?
I bet it's something to do with. Shut up! It's something to do with O.J. Simpson, isn't it? Go on.
They got Denver-based firm Haddon, Morgan and Foreman.
Haddon? Who? Haddon Morgan.
Haddon, Morgan and Foreman law firm.
Who are they?
Who repped Harvey Weinstein, Charlie Sheen,
get off,
and they are the current defense team.
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes.
No, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm done. I'm fucking done. No, there is no way.
They called in.
There is no way.
The same lawyers and Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein, and to a lesser extent Charlie Sheen. So they went and got the child rapist law firm.
Well, I was going to say Charlie Sheen's the name that Corey Feldman was throwing around.
Yes,
with Charlie Sheen.
It was. Yeah, Charlie Sheen.
They
went and got the defense team for pedophiles, for rich pedophiles.
Team Pedo.
Yeah.
That is what?
Yeah. That's the main link, not including that picture of Ghislaine Maxwell being involved in this.
Wow.
Yeah. That for me was like, oh fuck. Like that is a link.
That was the 90-yard screamer.
Yeah. They are.
What?
That is the law firm.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 30-yard screamer, but
I'm not like double guessing your thing, but I literally just typed in Ghislaine Maxwell law firm, second link, Haddon, Morgan and Foreman PLC.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, that was like, because I hadn't done it. Because I texted you, didn't I? I texted you guys earlier. I haven't done a Ghislaine Maxwell link because I know there was one. And I haven't done
it. Yeah, because I saw that photograph.
Oh my fucking God! There's an actual link. It's not just like, oh, she was in a picture. She was at a pageant.
Oh, yeah,
like,
she was. Yeah. Oh, look,
I mean, but that's it. If you're going to be sex trafficking kids to a dirty old man, where do you hang out? At a fucking beauty pageant.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot believe
that will go into one of my theories once we got to the end of the timeline, like the immediate timeline.
I fucking cannot believe that.
Yeah.
That, like, listeners, viewers, if you're watching on YouTube or listening in your car or whatever, like,
if you haven't crashed your car with that bombshell,
that's taking me a few minutes to get around. Because that is fucking wild.
Yeah. It's
the synchronicity of that.
It's for me. It's almost the smoking gun to they fucking did it. Even if you just went, they lawyered up. Okay, he works for Lockheed Martin. There's probably a process that goes into place when you work for a big security thing. Or like, we don't want to be tied to this. So you need to do these steps. When something happens, no matter what it is in your family,
ring this fella up.
You get the lawyers in, and then you get. But the PR company are like, so you already want to spin this that you're the grieving parents. Like, there's no way that, and it brings back that's where I think that there's a lot of links to this. Like, there's a lot of synchronicities.
Yeah.
And with the Madeleine McCann thing, is that it. Like, they did the same thing. They got their lawyers in straight away. They got the PR company on side. Like, they knew what their stories. Anyway, we'll come back to all this because this is like the balls, the meat and potatoes of my.
That's
theory.
it. Yeah. Hold fire, Ben. Before you continue, American listeners, the Madeleine McCann situation is basically the British version of the JonBenet child,
but without a body.
Parents involved. We'll one day get into that. But sorry, Ben, carry on, because I know we've got American listeners that might not be too aware of Madeleine McCann.
Right. So on the 31st of December. The 6-year-old is laid to rest in Marietta, Georgia, next to her older half-sister, Elizabeth, who had died in a tragic car accident in 1992.
Oh, why am I laughing? That's terrible.
About 200 family and friends attended the ceremony at the family's old church.
White. So rich and white.
And they probably flew them all out as well, didn't they?
Fucking white people, man.
PR, like immediate PR as well. Look at them all grieving. Look at all the people
Photo
that
ops,
loved
man.
it.
Photo
Like,
ops.
easy.
I'm still gobsmacked by the PR company.
Me too.
Fucking hell.
and then on the right, this is the PR company kicking in again on New Year's Day, 1997. So 5 days after the death since the death, 1 day after the funeral, they take part in a 45-minute interview with CNN. You could do a 45-minute puff piece on like. You wouldn't like that. You'd be going, we need to find, like, I can't imagine we need to find this killer. It's more like, oh, she was so pretty. Like, that's what it is. It's not like, we can't wait. Like, it's just, there's no leads, but she was such a perfect girl. Like,
there's one thing really, really sort of middle Midwest America about this is because she seems to mention O.J. Simpson quite a lot in the interview that she has on CNN.
God,
and she keeps talking about how bad America has got. And it feels like it's I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but it feels like it's a drive for something. It feels like it's a campaign. She keeps going, America's so bad these days. America's so bad these days. And she's like, people getting away with murder. Bearing in mind, O.J. Simpson had just been acquitted, I believe.
At that point.
Like prior to that, I think he'd just been... Because what year was this?
96. This 97 when she's talking, but it happened in 96. The trial had literally just finished. She said that America is suffering because it's lost faith in the American family. Like nodding towards O.J. Simpson, I think.
OJ trial was in 95, yeah. So it's very fresh.
She says the OJ, she mutters under her breath the OJ trial. She says something about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, and so the Boulder police have been reassuring the community that there wasn't a killer. Like there wasn't a murder on the run.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
because it's again a small, rich, elite
and then
community.
Patsy on TV, Patsy on television goes, "There is a killer on the loose." If I were a resident Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
You know full well the detective.
She is a resident of Boulder. She's left Boulder for 3 days, and she's claiming she's not a resident of Boulder anymore.
Can I just say it as well? If I owned a dog, in no way, shape, or form would I leave like my immediate area after 5 days. I'd be searching fucking high and low for a missing pet, let alone a fucking child.
Yeah, I would be there looking for my daughter. I'd be out looking for evidence.
Looking for the murderer because they'd already found the daughter.
So I'm never going to become a parent. I don't want kids or anything like that. But like, for instance, if anything happened to my niece, like in no way, shape, or form would I want to be in front of a fucking camera. Like, it's so sad. I'd just be like, nah, I ain't got time for your shit. I'd rather be driving around from like the crack of dawn to
looking
sunset.
for something.
For anything.
Yeah,
it stinks. Dude.
Again, it's more scripted stuff. Like it's the death of the American family. They're suffering because they've lost faith. Like it's like,
and that's it. That comes from the PR end of it. Yes. And why? Yeah. What benefit does that have to? What benefit does that have again to a rich family?
Yeah.
Like I could understand it from I've just been watching all the West Memphis Free stuff again, the Paradise Lost.
Right.
And like you can see, and they were so, they want to be away from the media. They're not interested. Damien Eccles, all right, brought out a few books because he won't ever get any money, but he wanted to stay away from it all. Whereas in these lot, like literally, how many days? 3 days did you say? Like a PR company? I'm just like, the fuck?
Well, they had the PR company after 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, oh right, so it was even lesser time.
But sorry, JJ.
It feels like an agenda. It feels like
absolutely. And you can even hear it with this last piece of the timeline that Ben constructed. Like, we are Christian, God-fearing family. We love our children. We would do anything for our children. Yeah. So I do think it's a very cultural situation as well, because when it comes to Americans out here, as soon as you start throwing the we're Christian, we're this, we're that, there immediately there's this immediate persona. Oh, they're Christian, they wouldn't do that.
Look at Trump.
Exactly.
He claimed to be an atheist until he got he started running for president. He goes, I believe in God.
And then suddenly,
then all the fucking mentalists go, he loves God.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas it's funny.
If you heard that in Britain, sorry Jay, I'll be quick. If you heard that in Britain, no one would fall for that shit. Everyone would be like, I don't give a fuck what church you go to.
God, are you mental?
That's what
your story stinks.
That's what I was just about to say there about the fact that I've been watching loads of these crime documentaries recently, and it's like a big, I laugh at it, but it's like a big thing where you go in and you swear on the Bible or whatever. And I'm just like, who fucking cares? I just say it. Yeah, I do. And then I'd lie through my
don't kill me, God.
If I was to go to court or something like that, I'd be like, I won't swear on the Bible, but put the Blink 182 biography, the Urethra Chronicles there, and I'll swear on that. Just to do something to make it look so fucking stupid.
It's just crazy that that's still like that. I mean, obviously this is like
24,
just under 20 years ago, is it? Yeah.
It's crazy that it still is that way. It's nuts.
Then on January the 2nd, after they've done this big CNN interview, the 5 detectives from Boulder had flown to Atlanta to talk to the family because the Ramseys had refused to talk to the police because they were too emotional and they couldn't face it. And so the investigators were going, "You've just done a fucking press interview, mate. You are getting." So the police haven't been able to interview them because they fled the state. That's mental. They were going, "Just get out of town. Just go."
Could you imagine?
Because how mental America is with the states. They're like, "Just go."
Could you imagine a middle-class black family doing that?
They would have been dead. They would have been shot in their home.
You did it. But that's what I'm saying.
Kiss and bang.
That's why I still think there's some inside corruption when it comes to the police force with this. Because now that you mentioned, Ben, that it's it was January the second that now they're probably all sitting there in their office with their donuts, with their feet up on the side, sitting there going, you know what? We could make ourselves look like absolute pricks here if we let this carry on. Yeah. There's probably something a bit wonky here that we need to do.
You're talking about wonky.
Oh, God.
So the district attorney, so in America, they have district attorneys, right, that prosecute for so you
get the state, isn't it?
They have someone who fight. I think they probably have it here, but I have no idea how it works because I've never been in trouble with the police unless it's for car offences.
Which I've done thousands.
Loads. The district attorney, Alex Hunter, right?
Okay.
Bear in mind, he's the district attorney. He should be prosecuting the case. He should be trying to find the truth here.
Right.
He put an injunction against the Boulder police so they wouldn't be investigated. So they couldn't be.
What do they call it? A statute.
Yeah, statute.
I think it is.
So they're like, no, we don't want to talk to them. They're not.
But the district attorney's best interest is to get the case done as quickly as possible and get as much money equivalent or as much attention as possible. This is why you see all these DAs coming in for have you guys watched The Night After yet? Or The Night Of, on Sky. It basically it shows you quite a good in-depth version of the American law
justice system.
Justice system. And they basically, their job is to go in there and basically just get the job solved as quickly as possible for as least money as possible, because they see it as I'm defending a corpse. They don't see it as I'm defending a family or I'm trying to sort something. They're seeing it as I want as least bad attention on the district as possible, and I want it to look as fair as possible. That's why most of these things. But what you just said, Ben, about him going out of his way to put an
injunction,
put something, to stop them from doing their job, shows you that he's stopping them from basically delivering the evidence and going, there you go, there it is. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
And there was no evidence put towards the Ramseys in court.
So now,
And so they could never find the killer because there was no one giving evidence, because the only people that were there and knew what happened were the Ramseys, and they gave all their interviews and evidence to the press.
Right, exactly.
So everything was scripted.
Externally, there's never been, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's never been any fingers pointed outside of the house.
There has.
No, they threw a couple of names in there, but they were like, they had like a couple of hours interview and that was it. It was,
yeah, there's a few. One of them, Gary Oliver, he's now in prison for child pornography.
Yeah, so I saw that, and he looks like a child pornographer guy. He loves it.
He was
looks
found,
like Bret Michaels.
He was found with a picture of JonBenet in his backpack, and he said he was going to make a shrine to her.
But also, you've got to remember that her mum was pimping her out every weekend. So, like, it's only a picture.
But apparently he called an old school friend, claimed to have hurt a little girl in the Boulder area on the day of the crime, but like nothing came of it. Like, so. You know, if someone had called the police and said this guy claims to have done it in America, that would have been a confession, right?
Yeah.
And if he was black,
because they hate the blacks, they really do.
So I guess we're on to January the 3rd now at the moment. January 3rd, 1997. Detectives reveal the ransom note was written inside the house. Detectives announced that the note was written on a paper pad from inside the house, meaning it was likely written after the murder. Mostly written after the murder. John and Patsy return to Boulder. Boulder cops also go to
Charlevoix,
I think that is Charlevoix, Michigan, to search through a summer home the Ramsey family owns. Fucking
wealth.
Elitist, rich, like rich elite whites, man.
There's a quote from the Mighty Boosh that I like to use a lot, and it's note to self: I hate whites.
It's true though. It's true. So. At what point did this district attorney put the injunction on Boulder police?
It's lower down.
Is it further on? Right.
Yeah,
okay,
I can't remember exactly when it happened.
Okay, so January the 6th now. So Christ, we're like 10 days after the body has gone missing.
This is a nothing one. They just go back to school.
Oh, is it a bit of sort of like fluff filler?
The kids all go back to school, but even though it's not been solved, like. Everything's gone back to normal already. Is the reason I put it in there?
Burke's apparently still going to school with investigators talking to him and stuff, which I believe both of you have seen that. The child psychologist interview. Which in its own essence is like, without. I mean, none of us have spoken about Burke yet. I mean, I'm presuming you're both saving up your bullets for that, but
right. And I wanna when it gets to the timeline, I guess is where we'll start firing. To be perfectly honest, I guess
one of the things I was thinking about the most with this whole thing was like, if I always try and put myself in a position of what I would be thinking at the time if it was like somebody I knew or whatever. And I think that the thing is, even in this whole thing, we've not talked about the brother who's just lying upstairs, like in bed, like, he was just, his sister's just been fucking murdered, like not even murdered, like probably considered quite brutally murdered. It's pretty bad.
Well, we've not even talked about how she was murdered.
No, exactly. This is what I'm just trying to bring it maybe round, because now everything's kind of gone back to normal. You've kind of got to think about the people who this tragedy has been left with, which essentially directly is just the mum, the dad, and the brother. There's no one else directly that this is really involved. It's really involved. Like the suspects who the fingers were pointed at were literally like, brushed off. Like it wasn't like a long trial kind of vibe. It was like, get it cut and shut and fucking forget about it.
That's it.
Because up until you'd mentioned it, I'd never even heard about this case. Yeah.
That's
literally, I'd never heard of it. Because obviously I was looking for JonBenet.
Well, he's a golfer.
And there's loads of JonBenets down in England.
Amateur golfer. He died on a golf course. There was a really cool, quite nicely made documentary on Netflix called Casting JonBenet, which I saw. That's when I first kind of found out about the killer.
Yeah.
But that's quite hard. It's a hard watch because that it's done from a point of view of them trying to cut, a bit like that Scientology one that Louis Theroux did, where they're casting people for a show, like a film.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And then they kind of divulge things through that. And I haven't watched it since it came out. I didn't watch it again for this actually because I forgot about it. But yeah, there was. I even forgot what JJ was saying now.
I mean, I was just saying about how it was.
Oh, you hadn't heard.
Everything's kind of gone back to normal, and I'd never heard about it. So like, I'm at the position now where all this has just happened, and I'm none the wiser. I would have been none the wiser about it. The thing that brought, when you started speaking about it to us in the groups, this was probably like really early beginning of the podcast, like when we first started talking about it, was the picture that you sent of that girl. And I genuinely thought that was the girl from Poltergeist. I thought that was, because I know
she might be one now. In that house.
That's fucking awful. Because the girl from Poltergeist died like super young. I thought that was her. And then when you sent me that picture of Ghislaine Maxwell in the background, I was like, are you trying to link her with the girl from Poltergeist? I don't quite get it. And then you were like, oh no, that's JonBenet. And I was like, never heard of her. I literally did. Never heard of him. JonBenet.
Where are we? So yeah.
So this has been a mind trip.
Right. So handwriting analysis is the next on the timeline.
So one thing I'll touch on what JJ was just talking about then, like talking about like the body of her, although I'll quickly just wrap it up as there was a few little kind of conspicuous things that were interesting to me. So obviously the crime scene was heavily compromised, and that the police didn't search the scene initially when arriving to the house. But one thing that stood out to me as well was that the autopsy, connecting to what we were saying about the injunctions that were put on against the Boulder police. So the autopsy found that JonBenet had been bludgeoned to death, whereas the county coroner had found that she had died of asphyxiation. So how does a coroner and an autopsy report just contradict themselves exactly?
It was blunt force trauma and strangulation was the official
cause of death. But the two of them,
she'd been tased as well.
She'd been tased.
She got tased in her bed. Right, they think she was tased in her bed, taken down to the cellar, and then killed. But that leads me that leads me to think that she was tased to be kidnapped, and then she woke up. He just went bang because we've not even got onto the scream.
Right, okay. Let's hold fire then.
But this should have actually, I should have mentioned this earlier on the day of the thing. So their next door neighbor heard a child scream at 2:00 in the morning. Huh. But the Ramsey said they never heard anything. But
I mean, they're going to say that, aren't
they? They did a test. No, but they did. They did a test. There's a few. It's one documentary I watched. So they did a test, and they screamed as loud as they could, and because of the size of the house, and bear in mind they were on the 4th floor.
Fuck me.
Yeah. They didn't hear the scream.
JJ's face.
The neighbours could.
Yeah.
Because of the projection and the glass.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there was some like solid evidence.
Yeah.
Them saying.
Yeah. And then obviously, they were saying like there was no footprints in the snow, right? There's no footprints in the snow outside. But if you look at any pictures, there was snow, but all the driveways and the walkways had been cleared of snow.
Right, yeah.
Because there wasn't footprints in the snow. And there's no fucking snow.
And as well, if it snows anyway, footprints and that will get covered up, won't they?
Plus, and also, which acre of land are they talking about? Fucking hell. If they've got 7,000 square foot house, like pretty sure they don't have one path to it.
And the basement window was there was disturbance in the snow around the basement window. So but that goes this goes on to the thing, right? So
we're on January.
We're handwriting analysis.
Oh yes, March 7th now.
Right. So we've got. The news came out that there's been a practice ransom note. That was it. So on January the 8th, news comes out that there may have been a practice ransom note.
Right, yeah. This was what I'd heard.
And this is what we talked about at the beginning, how the pad had indentations And they found that even though it had indentations, they found the actual notes, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
screwed
practice.
up or whatever.
Yeah.
So
apparently the person who wrote the note had written them on another piece of paper and discarded them. JonBenet's half-brother is questioned. The alibi of John Andrew is re-examined, even though he was allegedly out of town when it happened. But then it doesn't go on. I just wrote that down as I think because they re-examined his alibi. I think they double-checked and he was fine.
Right. Okay.
And then it gets into March in '97, and they do the analysis on John and Patsy's. John definitely didn't write the ransom note, like 100% wasn't him. But there's definitely a chance that Patsy may have written it. So bear in mind that unless the ransom note was written by another 5'6" woman of the same build, right? Because you're going to be leaning on the pad. And
shit! And they're able to determine.
That's how they don't do it. They don't really do it by the shape of the handwriting because you can change your handwriting.
Yes,
they do it by where the hand lays, how the pens hold, and the weight.
The depth of the indentations on the pad. Oh, wow. Fuck, I never knew that. So that's intriguing.
Yeah. And then a DNA testing takes place on April the 3rd. Oh, yeah. The police head back there reportedly looking for unrehearsed handwriting samples to see if Patsy wrote the handwriting. That's how they knew it could have been written by her. Because obviously when she did the first handwriting analysis at the police station, she knows what the ransom note looks like. She's going to try and
well, of course, she's going to avoid the way she was.
So when they went back to look for unrehearsed handwriting, they found the practice note.
Wankers.
Yeah. Why don't you just throw your rubbish away? Like, burn that. Don't just throw it away. Burn it.
Again, though, that's like if they're seen to be burning things. Like if we presume that they did this, like let's just for this conversation presume they did. They have basically committed the perfect crime. They haven't been arrested for it. Like little things like that, especially for a guy who's probably like got a lot of fucking dodgy friends. Like what's his chops, John Ramsey. Yeah. You know, he's got a lot of people who know how and all this stuff. You burn stuff immediately, you look guilty, don't you? Like,
but in a frying pan, just burn a bit of paper over the gas.
But stuff like that looks even more guilty. Like, the Making a Murderer guy.
Yes, yeah.
He was known for burning things every day or every other day, and they still pulled him up on burning stuff. Whereas if you live in a fucking 7,000 square foot thing and you're like burning pieces of paper in a frying pan, like if I was found burning things in a frying pan, someone would be like, he's fucking lost it. He's lost it. No, pull him in. He's lost it.
I think that I personally don't think it would like be sort of looked at in that way. Like my in-laws with junk mail that they receive, they just throw it in their fireplace, and when they put logs on the fire, they just use it as fuel. Yeah,
like, I remember when the internet first became like prevalent, like when everyone started getting an email address. Yeah, like I was probably like the general age was like I was 13, so I mean it's like 20 years ago or whatever. My grandma for a birthday present bought me a paper shredder, and I was just like, why? She was like, just for all your information. I'm like, because everyone's trying to steal your information. I was like, since when? And they're like, oh, since the digital age, everyone's trying to steal your information. I'm just like, all right. So most people will be like, why is JJ burning his evidence? He's got a paper shredder.
It's just like going
it's that school. Boy burning his head.
Like going into school at assembly, isn't it? What did you get for your birthday?
I got a paper shredder. Mate, I remember as well because it was like green like that. It was like
I knew some green and like clear. Kids. I had weird kids at school that would like enjoy a paper shredder.
Yeah.
Now they're serious.
I mean, I'd enjoy one now. Like if I had a paper shredder now, I'd just be like, yes, yeah. Domino's fucking things. Oh, well, obviously not Domino's things. Mine was hand wound.
Oh, that JJ's arms one of his arms a bit bigger than the other. He's been.
I've just been shredding my documents.
Manual hand shredding, manual paper shredding.
Fuck's sake. Okay, where are we now on the timeline?
Right, so the formal interviews are conducted. JonBenet's parents become the prime suspect.
There we go. There's your Madeleine McCann synchronicity.
Obviously, the focus is on these people, Boulder's DA Alex Hunter says. This is the guy who also made sure that they didn't go down for it. So the formal interviews are conducted. So bear in mind, right, the murders happened on the 26th of December, 1996. They didn't formally interview John and Patsy Ramsey until the 30th of April.
It's like 5 months later.
That is so... They've got
fucking
their story
bonkers.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. They had enough time to corroborate their story in the 8 hours where the police just had a little fucking chinwag with them in their fucking kitchen.
So there was...
the police basically told them what to say.
Yeah, there was like arbitrary statements taken on the day, like just there and then in the house.
Right.
But so formal interviews were conducted. John's took 2 hours. Patsy's was 6.5 hours. Her interview. So they're like, did this, right? And
if someone's guilty,
so the new statements they'd made. So the statements they'd made after 5 months of working out their story replaced the ones that made on the right after the murder. So
I've just got this vision of John, like literally anytime the police speaks to him, I've just got this vision of him just like going into his jacket pocket and just pulling out a fat wad of cash. Or even one of those like supreme money guns. Just like and then poor Whiteface is just like
gun. Hold your fire.
No comment.
He's
white. Don't shoot back.
Hold your fire. He's white. He might have money.
It might be his wallet. He is white.
Yeah. Whatever it is, remove it slowly, Mr. Ramsey. I see. Put the guns down. Here we go.
Just giving him like blank checks, just like sliding it across the table.
It just says in the memo, no comment.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
6.5 hours for Patsy though. So they've let's be honest, the Boulder police are now probably actually sitting there and going, we're not going to fucking get away with this. Like the public are probably actually sitting there going, something's a bit fucking off with this. If
it's anything like a police call though, she's probably just like, like taking a deep breath in between every word. That's why it took 6 hours. She only actually said one sentence.
It's been 5 months, prick. Calm down.
Yeah. So the DNA results are in. Wait, John and Pat. They speak to the local media.
May 2nd now.
Yeah, so they speak to the victim's parents talk to the local press, including 9 News. John stumbles over his daughter's name and addresses the rumors of possibly being sexually molested, calling those most hurtful innuendos. Patsy says, I'm appalled that anyone would think that John and I would be involved in such a hideous and heinous crime, but let me assure you, I didn't not kill JonBenet.
Also, I've just missed, I don't know if you guys touched on it, but they offered a reward also on April 27th. Which was how many months later? They offered a reward of $100,000.
Mate, I'd have offered a reward within hours.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the first thing you would do, especially if you're that rich.
Yes.
Your house is that big, you can't search it within 8 hours, but you've got that much money to be able to go, look, just tell me who it was. 100 grand, it's yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fucking $100,000, like 3 months. What is April? I don't know. 5 months later.
6 months later, yeah.
6 months later,
and that's probably from like a reporter sitting there going, "Have you thought about asking people to look themselves? Oh shit, yeah, I've got a fat wad here, haven't I? Fuck. Oh yeah."
Bearing in mind, $100,000 back then was nearly £200,000.
That's insane.
Like, it's fucking. It's
not
mental.
Nothing money. That's not nothing money. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm white, rich, and an elitist. Of course, I can use my money to perpetuate this even further.
Well, because he'd used all his money to kind of cover up the crime, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Or the PR company.
Yeah. I mean, and then the DNA results come in on May the 14th. Sources report that there are no surprises in the results on the DNA test, but don't specify what that means.
Yeah,
no surprises. There's no surprises.
That could mean anything. That's so subjective.
There's no surprises.
So what does that mean? Well, it's just no surprises, to be honest.
We weren't surprised by the results.
Yeah.
What?
But wink and a click. We weren't surprised. Wink, wink. What does that even mean?
The family did it.
But what? How? That's like that to me sounds very spiteful. I use it for want of a better word, but spiteful of the police department to sit there and be like, "Oh, there are no surprises." It's a very smart comment to make. Almost.
Yeah.
It
And then they move on July the 12th. They move all of her belongings to Atlanta. All of JonBenet's furniture and stuff is moved to Atlanta.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And then
Why?
on July the 14th is when the previously sealed autopsy results are released. That confirms a deep ligature around the victim's neck and another around the right wrist. Evidence she was bound and strangled. And also say that blood and abrasions were found in the girl's vaginal area. And that she was struck on the head violently enough to cause bleeding and an 8.5-inch fracture to her skull. That is about
8.5 on a child 6-year-old.
That's about
skull.
that much. That's about 8.5 inches. About
Fucking hell, that's what?
So
that's her whole skull.
That's a whole scare. That's insane.
There's a really good documentary on YouTube. I'm sure one of us will put it in the links, but it's called The Case of JonBenet.
Yeah.
And it's basically forensic evidence, forensic scientists going through it all. The part that you're talking about with the skull, they actually hire a child to smash a flashlight with 2 or 3 big batteries in it. You know, like ghetto
like a
blaster
Magnalite
battery.
thing.
A 90s,
yeah.
A 90s flashlight.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
And they employ this kid who's the same age as Burke to smash an actual human skull, not a dummy, not something to, you know, like, come on, can you just like hit this a little bit hard just to see us? They employ a kid to hit this fucking skull with
Real
this
skull.
flashlight. It's like it'll be like a dummy skull.
Oh,
And
sorry. At first, I was like, that was
They
so
put-
like, macabre.
They put, well, it's pretty fucking macabre. They put a blonde wig on it. And then they're just like,
Just to make sure.
hit it as hard as you can. And this kid just goes, doosh, smash it. And it leaves this fucking perfect indentation in this head.
8.5 inches.
But this is the fucking weird thing. Could they have just got somebody else to do it? Why did they have to drag that poor kid in?
I could have got like a midget or something.
Yeah.
we want,
Could have got me to do it. I've got the
we want you
strength
to
of a
look
small
at the
child.
blonde hair. Does the blonde hair do it for you?
Honestly, I'll try. I'm pretty sure that Hooks will go through this video and time code this video.
Yeah.
To,
Really?
like it's the one of these ones. It's this one here. And basically, I'll tell you about the next part when we get to it. When we talk about the 2 little indentation parts.
And then the next day. Oh no! Is this a year later? So a year later, or is it? Yeah. January. So a year on from the killing, the Ramseys has now decided that before they give any more interviews to the authorities, they want to review the evidence.
Sorry, repeat that.
So the Ramseys will not talk to the police any further until they get to review the evidence that they have. So that means, how do we fit this around our story?
That is so corrupt. That is like in no way, shape, or form does any family have that fucking right to do that.
And do you know what? No innocent people would be like, I need to see the evidence before I
want to have a
take
look
them
at
off.
that. Yeah. What's that?
Because I would have been like,
your fingerprints are all over it, Dean. I want to see that before it goes out, thanks. I don't believe
but
that.
that's interesting. They go, well, of course, my fingerprints are all over it. I handled the body straight after when we found it 8 hours after it was killed. And I brought it upstairs. Like,
look at that £10,000 wad just fell out of my pocket. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and then all right. So a year later.
Oh my Christ.
So this is 29th of January now. John and Patsy submit the clothes that they were wearing on the day. Like, we haven't washed them at all.
A year later, and I have a fucking giraffe. How is that even evidence? How is that even in any way, shape, or form?
So 2 months after the police requested it, so they must have requested it in November of 98. 97. They hand over the clothes they were wearing the night of the crime. The Ramseys turning 2 shirts, a pair of pants, and a sweater. That's not That's not all the clothes, is it?
No,
That's just some. That's just some clothes.
Was someone running around with their dick hanging out? And, or their vag just flying about everywhere?
Yeah, and then so it took all that, and then on March 12th, a grand jury investigation is called. Investigators formally call for a grand jury investigation since 15 months have already passed since the murder. The evidential investigations continue. The case lead investigator, Mark Beckner, says that there are significant results from the 1,058 pieces of evidence that taken from the home. Details.
1,058 pieces of evidence.
Yeah. That's
a fucking number of like, and each of them singular. 1,058. Like, and that's obviously allegedly entering the house and everywhere. We're talking that's inside and out.
Yeah.
1,058 pieces of evidence. Yeah. That is monstrous.
Bear in mind that the garrote made to strangle JonBenet was made with Patsy Ramsey's paintbrush.
It was a hobby paintbrush thing from a hobby case or something.
So they never found the roll of duct tape or where the cord came from, or the taser, or the
marks.
Or the weapon used to bludgeon the head.
So I've seen a couple of different arguments with the taser argument, and I think it is the most convincing one.
Okay.
But I don't know whether I should speak about it now because I'm not sure where we're heading now with this.
We're kind of just rolling through the investigation now and the court case now, so we can just start going off on tangents now. I think we've done most of it.
They found a kids train set, I don't know if there is an adult train set, but they found a kids train set. And they lined up the like we had the Skeletrix. I never had a train set, but I had a Skeletrix. And the pins, there's like a hole and then a pin.
Yeah.
And the pin would go into the hole. They lined up the two pins, the two pinhole wounds that they found on her back.
The taser marks, right.
And they lined up perfectly with the railway track.
Oh.
As if it was either used to like jab or poke or something like that. So they
might not be
they've ruled out the taser because they said so. Again, right, going on to the documentary again, the same documentary they employed a kid to whack a fake skull with a blonde wig on it. They also employed a fully grown man to take a taser shot straight to the back where her shot was. And the weird part about it was they just laid him down on this bed on some pillows. And then this guy, and he was like, this is blah, 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 blah. He is the police force trained taser expert. And he's like, I've taken many shots with the taser. And then it just cuts to this guy. And he's like, right, first we're going to do it through his shirt. And he's like this. He's like planking. I can't even work it out. He's planking like that. And they literally touch him for like half a second. And he just like runs away. And then they ask him, they're like, if you were a little girl, how do you reckon that would feel? And he's like, well, I'm a lot bigger than a little girl, and I can tell you what, it's very uncomfortable. So then they do it again, and they get him to lift his shirt up. So he lifts his shirt up, and he's like, now I know what it feels like. I'm gonna try and withstand it. He literally just goes, flops off the bed, and then this guy just goes, well, I think it's safe to say I don't think you can take it. I'm not sure a little girl could either. And then he just cuts to this part with a fucking train track, and he's like, we don't believe it was a taser. We believe it was a train track. Also, you just tasered a guy for no fucking reason. You just tasered some dude who got paid $200 straight to his bank account to get fucking 2 taser jabs in his back.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if you told me they even dressed him in like a pink little tutu, like a pageant dress.
It's so good
with a big lollipop.
Oh my god! Awful. We're going to hell.
A child has been murdered, boys. All right.
I'm gonna give you both those links because they're fucking brilliant.
So,
but bearing in mind they're like 3 hours long, so you'll have to find it.
I'll wait that long for the punchline. Believe me.
June 10th to 12th, 1998. So this is well over 18 months since the murder.
Yep.
They finally interviewed Burke, who was 9 at the time. He's now 11. and he hadn't been questioned about it until now. So again, that's 18 months for the parents to tell him exactly what to say.
Right, and
exactly how
to
to
indoctrinate
feel.
it. Yeah.
Like, so, all right, so they've done that, and you know, like, if you've seen that, you should watch those videos, people. They are.
It's very listening to the way he was 11. No, first one was 9 when he
was 11.
He was 11.
He wasn't interviewed until he was 11.
Watching, I'm sure he was interviewed.
No,
when he was 9.
I feel he had three interviews by a child psychologist.
He said he was 9 at the time of the crime. The only one in the household that night is also only questioned for the first time in '98.
So I've got a thing. I have got something here. I've got something that says Burke, who was 9 years old at the time of JonBenet's death, was interviewed by investigators at least 3 times.
Yeah,
because he mentioned...
The first 2 interviews did not raise any concern about him. A review of a child psychologist stated that it appeared that the Ramseys had a healthy, caring family.
And also, in one of those earlier interviews that I saw, he was speaking to the female investigator, and she was asking how his life at the moment, and he mentioned he talks
about the guy with the microphone coming to his mate at the school going, "How are they doing?" And it was creepy. It was so creepy.
Yeah. That like so. With the early ones, he comes across as a normal... Well, he comes across to me as a child that doesn't have his parents give him as much attention as the other child. So, and what really led me to that was when that female investigator, she brings out all the crayons and the pencils, and she's like, I want to get to know you more. I want you to draw your family for me. So he starts drawing his mum and dad, and then she asks, he draws the dad first. So I guess this must be some sort of psychological thing. If whatever parent comes second is when the investigator questions, why do you like your mum? Like, or blah, blah, blah. So he draws his mum second, and she asks, oh, do you like your mum? And he was like, what's the favorite part about your mum? And he just says, oh, she's nice. And and I think there's something obviously like psychological behind that in the sense, and it was rather telling as well, because he sits there and he's like, it's like he's trying to muster up something to explain why he likes his mum, and he clearly doesn't like his mum as much as he probably likes his dad, to which then leads down the avenues of the fact of mum pays too much attention to JonBenet, doesn't pay attention to me, and blah, 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 because he sits there and fumbles. Oh, she's nice. And it's like he's trying to think of what's she given me recently that would give me a reason to like her. So that's why I've got massive red flags for Burke. And the other one was at the end of the drawing incident, he didn't even draw JonBenet at all. Whereas as far as I'm concerned, if you're a child and you love your sibling and something bad
that was in '98 though, so he's probably just if he didn't have anything to do with it, or if he didn't hate her, he's probably just forgotten that she even existed. At that age.
He does mention it. He says in the Dr. Phil interview that he asks him, why didn't you draw JonBenet? And he was like, well, in my mind, she was already dead and she was no longer here. And even kids, like, even when they're, like, in my opinion, like, when a kid's drawing something, even if they've had a sibling who's been lost, they have some sort of ethereal theory or something that where they're there, but they're just not there.
Yeah,
so you always see like kids draw families, and then you see like their sister or their granddad or something like floating around or flying around or whatever in the fucking background.
Yeah. Oh, there's granddad in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, it's just no.
Yeah.
Like, not there in any way, shape, or form. And
I mean, I think Ben's pretty adamant that these interviews didn't, like, I'm almost certain, and this is only going off the documentaries that I watched. I'm almost certain they interviewed the kids straight away.
No, I'm looking at it
because I've seen one with him with like 3 different ages.
Yeah, there's 3 different ages. There's one at 11, and then there's one at 13, and then there's another one. He was like 16. But yeah, because I've looked. I'm reading one now, and it's the one you're talking about. It's just a transcript, and it was definitely 98.
I've seen 2 where he's young.
Yeah,
There's one where he's wearing a black jacket and he's got some writing on the back, and they're playing fucking Guess Who or something.
Yeah,
because he's
That's
like this
it,
with the
yeah.
guess Who board on his head.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of the
So let me
first
share that
ones.
link in the chat.
So I'm reading it. I've got it in Reddit now.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So, and this goes back to your train thing, JJ.
Yeah.
It's like, would you ever go down? So the detective goes, would you ever go downstairs into the basement and play? Yeah, I had a train, an electric train in there.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
you brought that up.
Yeah. How about the last year you lived there? Did you play there much? Sort of.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. And then the interview that I watched is basically it's like 7 of the top forensic and like psychologists in the world, all like a little jury on a table.
Right.
And they're all talking about it. And again, like I said, they did this fucking taser test. And obviously that it's not the taser. And they've also worked out that the taser that they found, or the taser that they had as evidence, the gaps in the taser, they're too far. They said it would work the other way if the skin was rounded. So the things would go around, but it wasn't. It was the other way around. There would be no physical way where the taser marks would meet. And then it points to this railway set, and it's like in the interview. I mean, we haven't even talked about how we feel about Ramsey yet. So maybe like not Ramsey, the Burke. Sorry,
Burke.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know where we are now. I don't know where we are in this.
We're at June 10th, 12th, 1998, I believe, where we left off was when initially Burke being questioned. But then we've got August the 6th, 1998, Denver detective Steve Thomas resigns, calling the case crippled. Choice of words. But he says Detective Steve Thomas writes an 8-page resignation letter saying the Hunter's office has crippled the case since elements have been thoroughly compromised, according to the Denver Post. Governor Roy Romer inquires as to whether he needs to step in. He eventually does. What do they mean by crippled? Like, is this a way of saying the case is not being taken seriously, or it's not going anywhere because of a lack of evidence?
I think it literally is like, I feel when they say crippled, it's usually something to do with the fault of the investigators the investigators.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
like we
force
can't
themselves.
go any further with it. Like it's someone's hampering it, and like
somebody has done something to it to stop it from moving like that.
Yeah.
It's just stopped. Like the word crippled usually sounds like it's implemented.
It's been crippled, so to speak.
Now, for coming from ourselves being British and the fact that we're obviously rather well versed with the Madeleine McCann situation, how like typical is almost this sounding like the Madeleine McCann incident?
Totally.
With how the parents weren't questioned for so long, the crime scene was riddled with contamination, and that there was contradictive things coming from parents, and that the people that they were like on the holiday with at the time, and then was someone resigning from the case. I think the Portuguese police ended up having one of the lead detectives being like, I'm out of here because this is fucked. Yeah, like...
Well, it either comes down to rich people having really attractive kids or poor people not having attractive kids. That's how I see it, because it always seems to be really rich people who lose their fucking children. Like, it never seems to be anybody lose their children and never find who stole them. And it always seems to be the other way around.
The only time a missing child that went missing and was found was from a child that went missing in Dewsbury. Do you remember, what was it, when the kid was found underneath her uncle's bed or something?
Yeah, because they were
Shannon Matthews.
They were trying to get some cash. They were trying to get cash, weren't they? For ransom.
Yeah.
So dodgy as fuck. And they were poor.
What I'm saying is police were pretty fucking quick with that, though. That only took about 2 weeks to figure out, I think.
Yeah, and it's because they were trying to fuck over the government, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
right, exactly.
Get some money out of the government.
Yeah,
what do rich people need? Nothing.
So, talking about the rich people and what they need, a lot of people think that things like this, when the rich people's kids go missing, it's part of an initiation. It's part of
really?
It's like either they haven't paid the right people or they haven't done the right things to their like Satan, their Satanist thing. It's like a this is you paying your this is your turn to sacrifice and like
to make sure your life is from there on out perfect.
Where did I hear it about it being there was one documentary and I didn't write it down because I should have read it because it's it's really interesting. Is that it was all
it Fall Cabal?
Yeah. Where was JonBenet? Why was
in the basement? She was
fucking Yoda.
Rope around her neck. She had.
It was a big like a ritual and like John had to like it wasn't the first kid he had to give up because he wasn't paying his dues or something, so he had to pay other ones.
Just to point out as well, going on to the satanic ritual thing. Lockheed Martin are heavily involved with the new UFO disclosure movement because the ex-head of Lockheed Martin now works for Tom DeLonge.
Yes, he does.
For the Stars Academy.
I wonder what he has to say about JonBenet's disappearance.
Oof.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's the thing, like, because none of this stuff ever comes out. Like, surely, like, these cases just don't go cold normally, do they? Like, it's only rich people where these things go cold because they paid the lawyers off. The lawyers and the PR agency, anybody, they know what to fucking do. They know to go, right, don't say this, don't say that, don't say that. The people that they've got someone professionally telling them, right, you will get away with this if you do this. Like, if you say these things, do these things, you're going to get away with it because they can't prosecute you because you haven't said certain things.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking that the Ramsey family, that all of the law involved with their side were all private? None of them were governed. So, like, basically, usually you have to have like a neutral mediator, I believe. I can't remember what they specifically call them, but they're kind of like a runner between the DA and the people involved. And I can't remember the name of them. And they usually go quite silent in all of this. But you always find that like many, many years later, after they basically have like an NDA. And they usually find that many years later they come forward. It's just happened not recently, but in the last like 3-4 years with the West Memphis Free case. Right. Their NDA is just gone and he's come forward. But the guy who originally prosecuted them is now running for Senate. So he has brought up his own statute that he put in place to say that he would no longer talk about that case anymore. So this guy is like, we've now put this motion forward. So I know we're talking about something else, but
it's the same thing though, isn't it?
I can't remember the guy's name, Jason, the other guy, not Damien Eccles, the ginger guy. He was willing to spend the rest of his time in prison until he was proven innocent.
Yeah.
But because it was easier for them to just say, we did it, we can't sue the district, we can't sue Arkansas, we will leave. And they weren't allowed to plea for any money for wrongdoing because they'd admitted that they'd done the crime.
Yeah.
And the guy was saying, I believe that this is wrong because Jason Baldwin, he was called, but the guy who was the mediator between the two factions, was saying that I want to solve this problem because it's been niggling my mind. Yeah. And basically the guy just said, well, I put this in place just before I started running for Congress that I would not talk about any other cases that I was involved in. So he's just written it off. So
written himself out.
That is history written. There's nothing that can change about that now.
And it's all because of being rich and elitist and white.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to quickly grab a beer. Won't be a sec.
Yeah, no worries.
Won't be a sec.
What I was going to say, what's next? So the grand jury investigation is starting now.
Okay.
So there was, even though they were selected 5 months prior, the grand jury starts their investigation on the 15th of September, 1998. So we're nearly 2 years into this now. And nothing, no one has been arrested or prosecuted. 2 years, 2 fucking years, and no one has even been arrested with and then let go. There's been nothing. So on the 24th of September, citing too much focus on the Ramsey parents, homicide detective Lou Schmidt quits and says his resignation letter that a very dangerous killer is still out there. This gives the Ramseys the fuel they need to convince the authorities to shift focus on the investigation. So,
and the
even the
synchronicity of these cases is crazy.
Yeah. So even one of the head detectives thinks that the Ramseys didn't do it, or the focus is on them.
Yeah,
because he fucking retired and he's got a massive wad of cash in his back pocket. He didn't have to fucking.
Yeah, so the grand jury then on the 13th of October, the grand jury begins hearing forensic evidence. The grand jury starts hearing the case, learning about the forensic evidence like DNA, hair fibers from the scene. They also tour the family's home in Boulder 9 days later. So I found a tidbit of information about the DNA and the forensic evidence found on the day. And on the sticky side of the duct tape over JonBenet's mouth was fibers for Patsy Ramsey's jacket. On the underside, across the mouth.
And that duct tape was never located again.
No, never found the rest of the roll of duct tape.
Ooh.
There is this. The problem is with this kind of evidence, like again going back to the West Memphis case, when this happened, the forensic analysis of it all wasn't there, so there was nothing at that time to do it. And even the evidence they've got now, even if it's been kept in the most contained environment or whatever, they said that again, going on to this West Memphis case, they found hair fibers of one of the stepdads and the stepdad's mate in between the ligatures. So this is why they say that the evidence, what Ben's talking about, is that the fact that it was in there and then it was clock shut.
Oh, right, yeah.
But they call it is it transmission evidence or traced evidence?
Yeah,
basically, it means it's basically the fact that it's in that contained home is that fibers from anybody could have been in that duct tape. It's not, it's a hard one to like point. It's a hard one to point a finger at. Like it could have had anybody in that family's DNA on because it's inside the house.
It's very it's very flamboyant evidence in the sense that, for instance, the fiber of her putting her jacket on in the basement one day, the fibers could have just been like poof, and
so this
been moving around in that environment for a while.
This new evidence that they've, this new DNA testing thing they've brought out is called MVAC. I say new evidence; it's like last 10 years. But basically, it can pull more than 200 times the amount of DNA than what could have been pulled in the 90s.
Wow!
So but the problem with this evidence is it speaks about it on the documentary that I sent you guys.
Yep.
The problem is with that is that it's got that good that it can trace the evidence from the manufacturing process of the thing itself.
Fucking hell!
So right. the in the documentary they talk about so they found some evidence in JonBenet's pants, right, which is why they consider it a sexual driven case.
Okay,
but they've said that in this they do like a litmus test, I guess, is it where they do like a neutral test.
Yeah,
they buy a brand new pair of pants from a factory, like 3 brand new pairs of pants from a factory, and scan it for DNA evidence.
Yep.
And there's at least 7 people's trace of DNA evidence on these pants.
So it's
and they're brand new from the factory.
And it's it's in an accurate
exactly. And the problem is that they've said that we can't differentiate, like let's say for instance 1 dot of DNA versus 10 dots of DNA. We would always say that the 10 dots of DNA is more evidence,
right?
But it's not. He says
it's not necessary.
In this documentary, he says it's like a guy nicking his finger and spilling it on a brand new pair of pants, or a guy cutting his finger off and spilling it on a brand new pair of pants. Doesn't necessarily mean he did the crime at all. Yeah. It just matters what the And the thing is, our devices to find that have got better, but it still doesn't prove. He says it's very unlikely that the guy in Thailand who made these pants did the murder.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
He very well could have.
It's like it's like a paint easel, isn't it? It's just going to have paint on it for fucking ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. From the very beginning, yeah.
So the issue with DNA evidence is like I believe that all the people involved in this have said that there is no outside influence on this. So if that is the case, obviously somebody in the house did it. Somebody or accident or whatever, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So we're on October 20th, I believe now, are we? October 20th, John faces Stephen Miles in court. 2 stories in the National Enquirer had said that an anonymous source said John believed photographer Stephen Miles killed JonBenet. John goes back to Colorado to face Miles in the civil case. John Miles, this is a name out of nowhere.
Stephen Miles, yeah.
Stephen Miles. I've not heard this name in my research.
I think it might just been like just shouting names, you know.
Just like throwing shit at a wall and seeing which one sticks.
Well, that's what they do, don't they? They're witch hunt things because it's like, let's just look for the most renowned paedophiles around that area at the time. And if they're paedophiles, just put them in prison anyway, because that's where they need to be.
I understand now.
Yeah.
So December 3rd, so we've gone from October 20th to December 3rd, 1998. More family DNA is collected. Almost 2 years after the killing, DNA evidence is requested of 5 Ramsey family members. Yeah. Though they are not suspects, investigators simply want to try to identify who the DNA in the house belongs to. Well, as JJ mentioned, and Ben saying earlier that there was like 1,058 pieces of single evidence. Now they're just going around and trying to isolate every single piece that they have got because JJ, like you were saying, everything is fucking contaminated to some degree.
Yeah. If you like, it's the same as any kind of job that you've ever done in the past. This is how I see it anyway. It's the same as any job in the past. If you start trading who you're dealing with, it gets harder and harder. So like the guy, one of the main investigators is retired. So immediately then have to go and explain to the next guy what we've done. And he's like, oh, I've read through your case notes. Of course he hasn't, because he's taken over a job of somebody who's got probably 1 million case notes, and he's just like, this one's the most interesting. Yeah. The problem is with this, it's like it's getting the new people on board, but then you can withhold that evidence from people. So if you've got, for instance, say for instance everybody in this case just like retires. And then a new group of people come along. If there is corruption involved, you just give them the evidence that you're happy with that's cleared. Like that's
right, yeah.
You know, and this is the problem. That what they say in a lot of documentaries is they say that the problem is because the DNA evidence is DNA evidence. It's fact. That's it. You know, but it's not fact that you walked in. Like, so they're saying they're asking people to come and give their DNA from people who might have been in the Ramsey house.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever go to anyone's house, there's a high probability you're going to fucking touch something or have a shit or have a piss or whatever, you know, things like that. But then they're like, they are saying they're only doing it to rule it out, which is fair enough. But they're
That's
also
a lot of work.
Exactly. And it's a lot of fucking time for something that's not, you know, the family don't seem to care about it. They didn't care about it for 8 days, did they? So it's not like they're not going to care about it 3 years later. So, but I don't know. I'm so frustrating.
I mean, basically, the course just the court case just ends because there's no sufficient evidence to get anyone convicted. So it remains unsolved, and that's the end of the podcast. No, but there were some suspects outside of the family.
I think we're up to one now, aren't we?
There's Gary Olivier, which he admitted to doing it. Basically, he admitted he's a convicted paedophile, and he confessed to the murder. He said it was an accident.
So it's but I do sometimes feel like these criminals or even people that fucking have minds like that, they just do it for notoriety.
Yeah.
He
was a suspect for a while, and he admitted to it, saying, he wrote a little note. I'll try and find it. I had it saved.
Have you guys ever seen? There's a documentary on Amazon Prime. I think it's called Cold Case, and there's a guy on there who basically got put in prison for life for killing one of his best mates. And it was it's a bit like the Charles Bronson kind of vibe. He got put in prison for killing one of his mates, and he would have got out within like 15 years. But because he had nothing on the outside, he admitted to all these other things that he'd done.
Yes, I've seen that.
And then he started getting like money from like CNN and CBS and all these, and they started giving him money. And then like just on his deathbed recently, he just said, I was doing it to give my family money. Like he said, I had nothing on the outside, but I felt like my life had a purpose.
Yeah.
Like he said, I killed my mate by accident, but then this whole thing gave me a purpose. And he starts spouting on about how that was his mission in life. God had told him that he was there. And I was just like, yeah, all right, you made some. And this is the thing, like, that guy who admitted it could have been one of those.
Well,
what was his name?
Gary Olivia. He's the guy who had the picture of JonBenet in his bag when he was at place. He says, please, this is his note, his confession note. Please don't give up on me. I never loved anyone like I did JonBenet, and yet I let her slip and her head bashed in half, and I watched her die. It was an accident. Please believe me. She was not like the other kids. Please don't hate me. You're the only person I write to. I'm sorry I'm evil, murdered children. Please don't turn your back on me. Please keep writing to me. I consider myself to be very lucky to know you.
Please keep writing to me. I'm not a forensic, psychologist, but like it's desperation. It's like, please keep writing to me.
I've got information. Yeah, you
guys have seen the fucking Night Stalker documentary, the new Night Stalker documentary. All the goth chicks like turning up to his trial and stuff. Yeah. And I'm just like, and there's all those people there, and I don't get it, but I get why they're there. Like a guy who's good at doing what he does. Somebody has seen some admiration in his eyes and been like, you know, like he's good at killing people. Like, and those girls that like they're all fucking Satan and all that shit. But that's exactly what that is. You can just tell. I think straight away you can just tell that's just
he's just saying it because he wants notoriety.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, and then there was another one which is Bill
January. Is that the January the 28th one?
Teddy bear. Yeah, so this has got to do with the teddy bear.
Explain.
Bill McReynolds was a local man who played Santa Claus for all the kids.
I fucking told you.
Yeah,
I was waiting for this.
I knew it'd come up. I didn't say anything, but
I know.
So JonBenet wanted to give something back to Santa Claus because she was, but like everyone that's talked about it said that she was actually a nice kid. She wasn't a cunt. Like she was a nice little girl, and she gave a vial of glitter and called it magic, and she gave it to this guy who played Santa, Bill McReynolds.
Okay.
He was obsessed with JonBenet. Like he took that vial of glitter everywhere with him. Like he wanted it mixed in his ashes when he died. He took it in for a heart surgery, and he dressed up as a Santa. And JonBenet was telling her friends that her Santa promised to visit her after Christmas.
Oh, shit.
You see, I'm not gonna lie, Ben. I didn't read these notes, so now I feel bad about bringing Santa up. To begin with, I was just like,
yeah. Well,
so it wasn't actually. For anybody who's listening who still believes in Santa, it wasn't actually Santa. It was just a nonce dressed up as Santa. But you never know these days.
Nothing's come of it. And there's an interview. There's a documentary on Paramount something about this is about a different guy called Ed Edwards, who they think was the Zodiac killer.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw this, but I didn't realize it was linked to this.
So Ed Edwards is basically could be the most prolific serial killer of all time.
He's Jack the Ripper from.
He's done. He admit he's dead now, but he admitted to killing 5 people, one being his foster son, and then two couples on Lover's Lane, which is obviously one of the main things that Zodiac was proper into.
Right.
Just popping people in the head.
It was proper into it, bro.
Proper into it. Popping
bang,
people
bang,
killing people while they were getting hand jobs in cars. And they're trying to tie Ed Edwards to could possibly have done the JonBenet thing because he had a lot of pseudonyms, a lot of secret identities and stuff.
So they're trying to tie him to it. He hasn't claimed any.
He's dead.
And
no, exactly. I think if you're going to admit, I feel if you admit one, you would admit all. Like it's not, like Richard Ramirez. I think he is dead now. Is it Richard Ramirez?
Yeah, he got the chair, didn't he? I think, or leave.
Yeah, and they were saying, "Oh, we were trying to get more out of him," and I'm just like, "Nah." He admitted all the ones.
34.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of them were like way before he was even like on the radar, which is insane. And it just shows you how. Like, for instance, they found his footprint at pretty much every crime scene, and they found nothing at this one. So they're never going to find the guy.
No. So I just want to quickly touch on this teddy bear incident, as it was labelled a teddy bear takes centre stage. So, like, the investigators appealed online to the community to try to find information about a Santa Claus teddy bear that was reportedly found in JonBenet's bedroom. They hope by finding the manufacturer and where it was sold, they can link more dots. So is this tying in with the Santa?
I think it was
like a calling card.
Maybe a gift that he gave her before he got overwhelmed and bashed her in the head with a torch.
Again, going back to the Richard Ramirez thing, they fucking traced his trainers to 2 pairs in America. 2 pairs sold in America.
1 pair of his size.
Oh, was it 1 pair?
1 pair.
Yeah, one.
What?
Yeah, one pair was sold in his size in the state that he was. Was it Texas?
No, California.
No, they sold him in. I'm sure it was Texas. They sold him in because there was only 1 pair in America.
Yeah, only 1 pair. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was Ramirez. Did you
Richard
say?
Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez, Night Stalker.
Oh right, yeah.
No, don't, because you're still watching it. Don't, you'll ruin it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't ruin it.
Because I've just got up to the part about them. The investigator sitting again. We found the print, and that was something suspicious. And then we kind of left it at that. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
But if they're going on the fact that this teddy bear was manufactured, they ain't got a fucking chance. Like, that's literally, like, there's definitely more than 1 teddy bear.
And they're made in China by a fucking bazillion, because when I was filming a thing for a garden centre, and they brought loads of shit toys to give out of their grotto. But because the grotto was closed because of COVID, they were then selling them for $11.99.
That's fucking hilarious.
But yeah, that's the three suspects that I had that were outside the family. Right. Also, it could have been a ceremonial death of the name JonBenet Ramsey, and she's now actually Katy Perry.
Oh, is that another episode?
So I've heard this as well, but I didn't.
That's all. I didn't want to go into it because it's nonsense.
Right. Okay.
And we're already a couple of hours in now, I think.
So I'm gonna. We'll quickly go through those last few dates that we've got on the timeline that Ben's compiled with us. So March 18th, 1999. The reason I want to do this is because I think it's so weird how a lot of the stuff reflects the Madeleine McCann investigation and the whole history of that in general. So March 18th, 1999, the first detective on the case resigns. Yet another resignation. Ardent resigns because of all the criticism. So it sounds like from the beginning that the police were almost like getting wads of cash, or at least, I don't know, trying to defend the family for quite a while, to which it then just came falling back down on them, where it was the most of the public were just like, something's fucking wonky here. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense. May 19th, 1999, Burke is no longer a suspect. Now 12 years old, Burke is secretly questioned by the grand jury, and he is officially declared a witness, only not a suspect. Yeah. I'm sorry, what? That is literally the same as the 9/11 and 7/7 investigations, with all the governments going in and being like, we'll be right back in a moment. We're just going to go and find out what really fucking happened here. Yeah. You're not allowed in, though.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
That's the thing. Like, there's no one from the grand jury's really come forward and gone, this is, like, where all the documentaries you get once the jury is like all the case notes out and you can read everything and you get all the information, all the police come forward, they all do interviews, they do talking heads, they talk about it.
Yes, yeah.
And this still hasn't happened for this one. The one documentary that is like official is like done with actors and actresses like in some weird like casting of the family. So it's like the whole thing's shrouded in secrecy. Like
it's fucking all of it. Yeah, there's something so wrong with it.
Yeah,
so wrong.
Obviously, and then in September of that year of '99, an interview with Aunt, the old detective.
Yeah,
like,
the detective aunt who resigned. Yeah,
she says she knows who the killer is, but she won't say who. That means she's under a legally she can't say who.
And that also ties in with a lot of what you're saying, Ben, in the sense of it could have been almost like a weird elitist sacrifice. In the sense of being like, we know who it was, but can't say shit. Because
They basically said everybody in the radius of that house were all on NDAs. They said on that the case of, they go around every single house and in the hope that everybody who lived there then lived there now.
Yeah.
And they said there was like 4 people who still live there, and they were like, oh, like willing to speak to the camera and willing to speak off record,
right?
But weren't like, I know that's a different thing, but they were saying, oh, we'll talk about it on camera, off record. We'll just talk to you like basically on a friendly basis, but we won't talk about the family at all. They've been bought off. Like it's probably the most I watched them 2, which are like 3 hours, and then I watched the body language guy and then like a couple of others. And they all talk about how uncooperative anybody within the case was. And they spoke to the guy, not the DA. They spoke to somebody who was involved in the jury of the first case, because they had a small jury on the first one, but then apparently they didn't have a jury on the other 2 court cases. I can't, or maybe the other way around.
Right.
So, because obviously you only have a jury when it comes down to like a guilty or innocent plea. And obviously if you haven't got any evidence, there is no guilty or innocence.
Yeah.
Right.
But they spoke to a couple of people like then, and they were just saying like, literally it was like a no-go case. There was nothing there. There was a dude on there who'd had like 4 jury calls. I was like, I didn't even have fucking 1 yet.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
My father-in-law, he's had like he doesn't get jury duty anymore because of I think it was the 3 or 4 that he got pulled up for. He ended up having to leave because he looked too much like a policeman. He had literally left. He was questioned whether he was an undercover police officer, and he was like, no, and he doesn't get called up anymore because he has that police officer look about him. Serious, deadly serious.
I think I'll be all right.
There's something about America where loads of people get called up for jury duty. I have never been asked. I remember at school going like that. We had like PSA lessons, like public service or something.
Announcement. Yeah.
So like public lessons or whatever it is, and they were like going, and the time will come when you get called up for jury duty, and it is illegal to not do jury duty. And I was like, I really fucking don't want that. I really hope that doesn't happen to me.
They don't pay you. They give you they give you like a welfare check. Yeah, for it. My housemate at university got called up for it. He was well excited. He was like, I hope it's something gritty, like a murder or like something like that. And it apparently was some guy who had stole the fucking bagel from not Thomas the Big Couplands. Apparently it'd been done for loads of other thefts, so apparently they took it to a place where it needed to like get solved. And he fucking did it. He was like, hey, it looked like a right dodgy cunt. I was like, not supposed to speak about it.
You look like a right dodgy cunt.
Disco, if you're watching, Tommy Disco, he used to great chat.
And then then it gets thrown out. There's no sufficient evidence. Alex Hunter, the dodgy DA, who says there's insufficient evidence to charge anyone with the murder.
No, it's.
So I think it's now with the time we're getting to a point of disclosing who we think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty apparent that it was nobody from the outside.
It was it was never anybody from the outside.
No.
Right, so, and this is what annoyed me about a few, especially the last podcast on the left, when I listened to that. And I normally really like them, and I kind of think they've got like the right idea. But they were like going, no, didn't happen. No one in the house did it. Someone crept in while they were out at the party. They bungled the kidnapping. They wrote the kidnapping note after she let like that. It was like,
I've never even thought of that.
That would
I'd
be
never even thought in the fact that somebody might have, because I keep forgetting that they lived in a massive fucking house.
Yeah, someone.
Like, if someone crept into my house while I was out, I'd just be like, "All right, mate, how you doing?" Because there's nowhere to go.
No, I mean that would understand how they got in. Like, and
I didn't even think of that.
I watched one video, and because I wanted to believe that there was something more to it, and there was like the ransom note was real, and like it was all like some weird like thing to do with Lockheed Martin.
Right.
But
yeah.
it just doesn't. The evidence doesn't lend itself to being that. Because there's no evidence of an outside
this is
no
my
murder
point.
weapon. There's no exit. There's no like footprints. There's no trace evidence of like. There's no handprint. I mean, I know the case, the scene was bungled and all that.
Yeah, it was like highly contaminated, but there isn't anything there. Like the research that I did, like with those documentaries, and there was the only part that they mentioned about like breaking and entering was just that. There was no evidence on the outside, like of anyone entering the building. And it didn't elaborate further. It didn't sort of sit there and go, there was this there, but it didn't conclude enough evidence. And there was that there, but they were 50-50 on that. There was nothing.
I have so many ideas and so many concepts of what could happen. And I think that is I'm not going to go into them, but I will in a minute. But I think that's the easy... What they've done is in my opinion, they've tried to hide all this evidence. And I think what they've done is they've made it even easier for people to come to an assumption of what has happened. Like, I feel that it is so obvious. Like,
yes,
same with the McCann.
But so plainly, but many different scenarios. But it all points to them. Like,
sorry, JJ, go.
No. That's where I was at. Like, it all points to one of three of them, and mine is solid. And the scenario will change. There's many different scenarios, but I think that they're all very. It doesn't matter. It's internal. Like that's it. That's you. Pardon me.
I still totally believe that it happened. It was without a doubt someone inside. I don't believe it was. I don't believe it was the parents for a moment. I really don't think it was.
Are we going into that now? Are we going into that?
I mean, the next thing to happen, Patsy dies of ovarian cancer, brought on by being an evil witch.
Well, problem solved.
Just bash my head on the fucking.
This is a perfect time to say thank you to our sponsors. OG Stocks.
Yeah. And I'd like to say a massive thank you to all our Patreon subscribers and our and all the others and everyone else who subscribed. But before we get to our summary and our conclusions, let's give those.
Which I feel is going to go on for about 5 more hours.
Let's give those patrons another shout out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna include the people that are no longer patrons because I feel like they deserve it. But currently we have Mike Ski, or he is a proper full-on patron napper.
Patreon.
It's just a patron. A DMRDR.
Dustin. Big shout out to D.
Callum Wicks of the recently started podcast that they.
Yeah, shout out with theirs, the cryptozoology.
They've got the Cryptid Ramblers podcast.
I'm going to be listening to that. I love me.
Callum and Scott, I believe, from our channel, have started their own podcast. Thanks to us, we've inspired. I'll
be listening to that. I love me some cryptozoology.
Scott, it's Callum and Scott are doing the Cryptid Ramblers podcast.
Can I just interrupt? Is cryptozoology where they fucking breed humans with animals?
No, it's like Bigfoot, the Wendigo, and
all right, okay.
Yeah.
I saw this thing about this guy who'd bred a man sheep, and it came out and it was all just like, and Ollie, our guitarist, sent me a picture saying this looks like you, JJ. And it was basically a human sheep that was just like. A baby. Never mind. Good luck to you.
Yeah, so the Cryptid Ramblers, they've got their own channel on our Discord. So they've not filled it with anything yet, but they've got one.
So they're just hijackers.
Well, I said,
I'm joking.
I said it'd probably be easier for us to steal their fans by
I agree.
using our server, so to speak.
Yeah,
and then,
I agree.
And then
I agree.
our longest serving patron by one day is Victoria Allinson. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, Vic.
And then cancelled. And our cancelled patron.
Just scrub through them.
It's
Don't
just,
do that.
It's my friend, my friend John Phillips, who's not actually called John Phillips. He had to change his name because he got into trouble with the United Arab Emirates government.
What the fuck?
That's another podcast.
That's a great pub story.
Yeah, that I can't go into it.
He's not the
Yeah,
guy
we
in
won't go into that.
the UFC who's just climbed in the building and dropped that fucking bag off.
No,
Did you see
the
that?
UFC guy, yeah.
What?
Some championship guy was having a fight. He wasn't even on the main card. He was on the undercard, but he cut his wristband off, give it to some dude. The guy had climbed in the building. Oh no, got in the building, then climbed a couple of balconies.
Yeah, and then dropped the bag off.
And then dropped the bag off, and no one knows what happened to him. Everyone's just like, "All right, cool."
And they got
like
kicked
dropping
off
off
the
some
car 'cause all of it was on camera. Every moment of it was on CCTV. No one knows
what was in the bag.
Oh.
So yeah, there are patrons, and if you want to become a patron, you get your episodes a bit earlier. You can get stickers and T-shirts, and me and JJ are actually going to spend some time developing our tiers and getting it properly done when we get some spare time, which we're going to have loads of because we're in fucking lockdown.
Yeah,
us we are homeless.
Yeah, we need to get those patrons in because we not only need it to pay for the servers and the Zoom accounts and all that, we need it to pay for food.
And also,
thank you everybody again.
Also, Huxley's the man. Huxley does more research for us than I do for myself.
And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we're gonna do Hux's flat Earth debunking episode where
I'm looking forward to this.
He's gonna come on and we are gonna sit there and I think he's gonna go full Alex Jones on us and start screaming.
I think that's
He's gonna come across a lot worse than David Weiss does.
But, yeah, I think this is a good contrast though to see like someone pro and someone like against. I'm very interested in seeing that because obviously.
Yeah, there were people like saying, "Oh, you should get an astrologer on," or like, I was like,
"Oh yeah, let's get an astrologer on."
Because David Weiss isn't a professional, isn't a scientist. He's probably as scientifically minded as Hux is. Only he believes in a flat Earth, and Hux believes in Hux is a globe-tard, basically.
if we get an astrologer on, can you work out a way that you can like gyroscope their head out? And just have it floating, and then we're all talking to them like, "Hello, Games Master. Yeah. Can you tell me how to get past the first level of Mario?"
I thought it'd be funnier is if we got someone on. We got an astronomer. No, yeah, we got Mystic Meg on.
Septic Peg. Septic Peg.
I'm Septic Peg.
Oh, grace my hand with silver.
Oh,
dude. Let me wallet. Look forward to that eventual episode where Hux takes on Flat Earth.
I had an idea about the Hux's like influence on us guys. I think we should get him at least on every single episode. Maybe not on the episode, but a snippet of him saying something, and then we can just tie it in somewhere anywhere in the podcast. So at least
that's a brilliant idea.
Regardless of what it is. So like we could just chat to him and then just like boom, like and then every time he's gonna time code it, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?" It's just gonna be like Hux code, like a daily anecdote of something.
It's like Hux complaining about like the number 28 bus and how it congests the one-way system in his local town. Just completely irrelevant.
Just like a number 28.
And for those of you who aren't part of the Discord, you don't know who Hux is, but Hux is our mod, and he's also like
he's phenomenal.
He's the mod father.
The mod father. He also is the voice of reason sometimes with the flat Earth. We were pretty like, you know what? Let's just believe David.
We were like this.
We believe David. We were like, we believe David. You lot believe women. We believe David.
Hux is sitting there going, fucking sort yourself out, kid. Just,
Like, he's got.
Dean, have you ever played Until Dawn, Dean?
No, but I've watched the playthrough.
There's a part with a psychologist, which is played by the devil in Constantine. Yeah, and he comes on every hour and he gives you like a little like a cornerman in a boxing match, and he's just like, you seem to be taking the wrong path, my friend. Hux is that guy. Hux is like, he's literally like, JJ, you're looking like your eyes are getting a bit flat. They're not looking quite as round as they used to. And I'm like, yes!
Yeah. I love it.
It's so good.
So that's coming up. But let's get on to our summary and breakdown of what we think.
I'm going to go for a piss.
Oh, me too.
Oh, Pause. Oh.
Got 3 giant bags of topsoil coming tomorrow.
Topsoil.
Fantastic.
Finish my garden off.
Just before we start again, I think either in the next 2 weeks or the next month, we should do Robert Durst.
Who's that?
It's the good thing is there's a documentary about it on Amazon called The Life and Death of Robert Durst.
Suspected serial killer. Ooh.
It's absolutely incredible.
He looks like a child molester.
Honestly, it's going to be one of the hardest ones to do because
he did it.
Well, it's not even that. He's not been convicted, but he's on hot mic talking to himself, going, "They found out. They know. And he's like, he's full blown. It's amazing. It's probably the best documentary I've ever seen.
Right.
And what's it called? Sorry,
Robert Durst.
It's called The Life and Death of Robert Durst.
Right. Let's do that one next. 2 weeks.
But he's still alive. He's still alive.
Let's announce that. Let's announce that at the end. Then we'll do Robert Durst.
That's why I was saying it now, because I was like,
gotcha.
Because it's a good crime one, and the conspiracy does lead into him being rich and white. So
this is part of the Rich and White series.
He's fucking, honestly, like, his dad owns half of New York.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Right, I'll put that in. Are you guys ready to restart?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't pause mine.
No, neither did I.
All right, okay.
It's just so I know. I'll see big fucking spikes.
Spike, yeah.
I'll do it as well.
So let's get onto these summaries of what we think actually happened. I'm going to go last because I'm going to go last.
Well, I'll go first as mine is quite simple. Well, JJ, do you want to go first?
I'm just more concerned that I always feel like I do this. I'm more concerned that I feel that mine might be the same as yours, Ben. And then I feel like, because you always look a little bit deflated after I've said something, and I'm just like, is he just deflated because I talk too much and I'm drunk all the time, or is he deflated because I've taken the?
No, because I don't think I always agree with with your thing. So you go first. Yeah, you go first.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Dean said he wanted to go
climax.
Okay.
Go on, JJ. You go first.
Do you want to go first, Dean?
I don't mind.
Okay.
3 hours later. All right.
I want Dean to go first because if he thinks his isn't that great.
No, yeah. So mine. So considering that you could spend days on this case because of how, when it comes to like interviews, police interviews, and how long it took for like evidence to get through and for basically to look like any professional work was being done. I truly believe that Burke did it because as well, the fact that, all right, Patsy's dead. He seems to get grilled even to this day. I mean, there's also a recent interview with Dr. Phil of it coming out, and I think it was a news network. I can't remember which one. Where they
it was ABC, wasn't it?
ABC, and they were all they also grilled him. Did you kill your sister? And he says he didn't. So one thing that leads me to believe it was him is that he is permanently in the eye of it, and that his story really isn't case closed. When you nicked off earlier, JJ, it was mentioned that in one of the pieces of evidence that he was ruled out as not even a witness, or he was, sorry, a witness.
Just a witness, yeah.
Just a witness and nothing to do with it in a closed off jury case. Whereas, in my opinion, that it reflects exactly the same as when the US government decided to find out what happened on 9/11 behind closed doors, the same way the UK government refused a public inquiry into 7/7. The idea of Burke being brought into a private jury and being, oh, by the way, yeah, we found out that he didn't do it. When did you do that? We just had a secret jury meeting with him, behind closed doors. Yeah, he's nothing to do with it. Oh, is he not? No, he's definitely not. Right, moving on. That to me is fucking wonky as fuck. And second, sorry, Ben, go on.
Yeah, I'd say the way he talks on camera is just like.
Yep. So the way his mannerisms, I haven't watched the full body language analysis video of him, but I've seen enough in police interviews to see that he looks like a child that has suppressed emotions from the fact that he was never treated the same as JonBenet was treated. He has a disdain for his mother, in my opinion. That was through the psychological evidence that the police investigator got from when he was drawing pictures and stuff. As JJ mentioned, most children draw astral sort of projections of granddads and grandparents that have been missing and such. And to me, it doesn't in any way, shape or form look like a solid full family of love. He looks like he was an outcast child when JonBenet turned up because the mother just took so much of a liking to JonBenet, more so than him. And to be a spoilt child like him, the way he talks, his body language in certain interviews, just to me looks like a frustrated child. Also, for him to sit there and say that the way he talks about sleeping at like the age of 9 or even 11, like sitting there, oh, I'm a very heavy sleeper. Like I don't hear things or anything like that. That to me just sounds calculated. It sounds scripted. It sounds like he has been indoctrinated to believe those things. Also, one thing that we didn't mention, again, like I said, you could go on this case for fucking unbelievable amounts of time if you want to cover everything. It was found in the, I think in the kitchen or in the living room, there was a glass of milk and a bowl of pineapples that were left. And there was one police investigator that wanted to ask him about these particular items, was because inside JonBenet's digestive system, pineapples were found. And on the only
one piece of pineapple, undigested,
yes.
Which, go on.
Yeah, so and on these items down in, I think it was the living room where they were found. I can't quite remember. His fingerprints were found on both the milk glass and the bowl of pineapple. I can't connect why that is so significant, but to me, he wasn't sleeping all night and didn't hear things. He also admitted that he used to go down for snacks and was allowed to have bowls of pineapple to take to bed with him.
He was probably allowed to do that because he was the kid who no one cared about because he was a little fucking nutter.
Exactly. He sounds, to me, he just comes across as a suppressed child, or he has suppressed emotions. The fact that he isn't getting a lot of attention. JonBenet is clearly the poster child of that family. And that to me sounds like the frustration as well, with the taser mark being the train track. He also managed
was kept in the basement.
That was kept in the basement. It was very good, as far as I'm concerned. very basic investigative work from the policeman or the detective that was interviewing him, asking him,
it wasn't. It was years later, which is
well, all right. Regardless, though, it adds up.
Yeah,
it adds up to me.
When you're a crap police officer looking for a murder weapons, you're probably not looking for a train, and those like model trains are quite heavy. Like they're like cast iron. Like you're probably not looking for a model train when you're looking for evidence. You're probably looking for a torch, baseball bat. So it's quite easy to go. Well, it's part of his train set. Like you're not picking it up. Like
I know I'm digressing a little bit here, but for anybody who's listening, Dean has just put his hand to his mouth and covered up most of his beard. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie. Like Dean had the most glorious policeman tash.
He has got a policeman tash.
Yeah, it is a fucking great tash.
I think
and I've also been watching a lot of Your Face on Mine. And I don't know if you've seen it, Dean.
Hey, no,
it's basically where a couple go on the TV and they've got to judge their partner against other people. So they've got to say that person is more attractive than my partner.
Girlfriends as well,
ex-boyfriends. And then their ex-girlfriends come on and then blah, blah, blah. I was just saying, if we had to do it, I would have judged you at the top there. Especially with that mustache. You look, all right, Ben, you would have been last.
I think we should do a mustache episode. We all have mustaches.
I mean, come on.
Lose the beard.
We're gonna have a mustache and a huge.
You can have any
right. So it's a Patreon special. If we get to how much can I afford to lose this beard?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I know the same thing.
Mine comes.
Dean, we obviously only met like at the beginning of last year, Dean.
My
beard was down here.
I've never seen Dean without a beard, and I've known Dean for about 11 years.
Yeah, I can't part with it. I can't. I don't know.
When Ben filmed our first music video, my beard was probably down here.
Yeah.
And but I was also about 17 stone, so it looked
rotund. He looked.
I always think about what I'd look like if I went to prison. I'd definitely shave my head and I'd just have a massive beard because it makes them look really good. Makes them look really nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, right. We digressed.
Right. So, okay. Mine it's without doubt, Burke. Like I mentioned, suppressed emotions of a child, frustration downstairs just before Christmas. JonBenet probably got a lot of attention from Santa Claus and this thing as well. To me, it just sounds like he was a very angry child. One thing that I didn't get to see, I don't know if you guys saw, something about a soda can in an interview about him reacting to a soda can or something. It was very prominent. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's an example of anger.
I know what you're talking about.
Did you see it then? Because
I did, but I don't believe it was a soda can thing. I believe it was a reaction to something.
Right. Okay. So I believe he's responsible. I believe he did it without shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, out of frustration. Again, I can't kind of calculate how he did it. Did he drag her out of bed, or did he know that she went downstairs? She went to eat the pineapple, and he's like, "That's my pineapple." She ate a bit, and then he's like, traitor, or I don't know, just attacked her. The fact that they're using a paintbrush from her
I think the garrote is an afterthought by the parents. If I was to say Burke was the killer, then I'd say
the parents defending him.
I'd say all that tying up, duct tape, that is definitely not Burke.
Burke, you were asleep. You were asleep, Burke. You were asleep, wasn't you?
So having two children and the arguments over a toy that from two pretty well-adjusted kids, it can go like that. The rage of like, that's mine.
Really?
That's mine. But it's that's mine. And then they're like, and they cry.
I don't know if you're saying really to the fact that they're well adjusted because they're Ben's kids.
But that's
sorry, Ben.
That's a good example as to why I believe it was Burke.
They will snap, they will fight each other. But if there's a lot of resentment in there, like, because our kids, they're equal, like they're treated equally. But when it comes to a toy, that's mine, and they'll snatch and they'll fight over it. If he's already got the resentment building up that his mum doesn't love him as much as JonBenet or doesn't pay attention to him as much as JonBenet, he probably already hates JonBenet, and then he's just gone. He's snapped. He's probably hit her over the head with something. And she's dead. Like that's as far as it's gone. It's not.
It's one thing we haven't touched on. One thing we didn't touch on in the whole thing as well.
What's that?
The fact that he'd previously hit JonBenet with a golf club.
Fuck me. There you go. There it was him. I'm sorry, it was him.
Yeah. So I think he's hit her. He's killed her. Mum and dad.
This was part of my testament.
Yeah. They come down in the morning. They've gone. Oh my God. We got instead of just going our son. Our 9-year-old who won't get, he can't be prosecuted. He'll probably just go to a mental home for a couple of weeks. Instead of admitting it.
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that. This is where I think mine. This is my.
My. Burke did it.
I'm gonna take over because I'm still concerned yours might be the same. I think they're all the same in my opinion. Like, I believe that they went to this Christmas party. They came back. Whatever resentment is going on there on Christmas Day is there. Like,
she probably got more presents for Christmas as well.
They said that she got a nice bike and blah blah blah. Whatever. They went to this Christmas party. We've all been to fucking Christmas parties with people's houses that we're not familiar with. Like, you know, they're never great because it's always just a comparison of what did you get? What did you get? The White's family, he might have been the head of Lockheed Martin. No one, that's just a guess, but they could have been higher up there. He's come home. They've had this they've had a little sibling rivalry. They've gone to bed. He comes downstairs, makes himself some fucking pineapple, and they said milk in the thing, but I'm presuming they mean condensed milk.
Yeah.
Like my dad my dad drinks condensed milk. He has like fruit salad with condensed milk. You know, like that's a thing apparently. I don't know why these fucking rich folks are having it, but so he does that. She comes downstairs. She's like, "Oh fucking hell, give me some of your milk," and he's fucking riled up. He's pissed off.
Yep.
He grabs the fucking pineapple. She grabs the pineapple. She runs off.
Yep.
They're running down to this fucking basement or whatever. She's running to somewhere that she's like knows as a play area. Like she knows as like, because downstairs they said was like a child den. Like it was
playroom.
That's where his fucking that's where his train set was. That's where everything else was. She runs downstairs. There's two theories I've got. And I don't want to take from either of your ideas, but I either feel that she's fallen over and hurt herself drastically and died, or he's like choked her or whatever to an extent where she's still got this pineapple in her mouth, she's choked, whatever. And then he's killed her, and then he's ran upstairs and been like, JonBenet's downstairs, she's fucking, she's not moving, she's like dead.
Yeah.
And then they've gone, right, let's sort this out, because if she is dead, I'll lose her and I'll lose you. And I feel that that's where earlier on when I was saying to you about the dad being involved, I feel that that's where his influence has come in and said, I've already lost my daughter, I don't want to lose my son. Because essentially he would, if he's come from a broken marriage where his daughter's already, daughter's already died, but he's also got an heir who is the oldest heir, like, the guy who will get all his money.
Yeah, to his estate, yeah.
If that kid is not institutionalized, if Burke is not institutionalized, he can pass on his legacy to him. Whereas if he is institutionalized, you can't do that. So you can't pass on heirship to somebody who has no way to use it, I think it's different. He's got a son from another way. He's got. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like, if he makes sure that he doesn't go to prison, he can pass his heirship to Burke out of his own choice. But if he goes to prison, he can't choose to say all my money goes to him when I die.
Right, yeah.
So one of the theories with the train track is that Burke killed her, and then he poked her with this train track to see if she was still alive, like adolescently, to make sure she was still alive. If you look at the actual blueprint of the house, the train track room is like, this is how I saw it in my brain. The train track room is like there. Sorry, the stairs are there. Yeah. The train track room is just here, but where they found her was like here and maybe down 2 steps, or like, it's hard to tell. You can't see it, but it's there and there. So they were saying that. The documentary that I watched was basically just trying to determine how she died, and I think to presume that a 9-year-old kid had hit his sister over the head with a flashlight, like it says in the documentary, is too much. Like, I don't feel, because they said that they tested the whole flashlight and the batteries inside, because apparently they've said in some interview somewhere that there was a flashlight, but it had no batteries in it. So these forensic scientists say, well, where is the DNA inside these thingies?
Right.
And apparently batteries are the hardest thing to do a DNA trace on because of, I don't know whether it's to do with the magneticism of them,
magnetism and acidity, maybe,
or to do with the outside casing, because it's so thingy. But there was no trace of any fingerprints on the outside of the batteries or on the outside casing of the flashlight. But like I said to you before, they did this test and they got this kid to come and whack this fucking fake skull, and the hole in her head was exactly the same size as the hole in the skull.
Jeez.
And it's to do with the diameter. So obviously, once a flashlight goes any further than its maximum width, it would just cause more trauma. It wouldn't cause more of a hole.
Right, yeah.
But I genuinely think that it's more to do with the legacy factor of it, because I feel that, like, if they've already lost one child, they can afford to lose. They can afford to lose another child.
It was powered by pride from the dad, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. I genuinely think that the son is probably, you look at any of the interviews with him. I'm not gonna lie, he looks like a dafty. He looks like a right daft cunt.
Doesn't look like he wears the jeans, does it?
No, exactly. No. And it's very similar to what we're going to talk about, what we spoke about in the break about what we're going to talk about with the next episode.
Yeah.
It's very much to do with that. It's like the runt of the litter, the guy who is like, he's not destined to be anything. But the thing is I'm not like branding all Americans, but it's very much to do with legacy. Like, we were talking earlier on about the UFC, like Conor McGregor, all he cares about is his son, like, taking on his legacy. I was like, you're a multi-billionaire. Like, what, and it's because you've worked so hard and you feel that is worth more than the next 100 years. And I think, I genuinely think that is probably the case.
Right.
Especially involved with what he's involved with. Like, he's involved with
Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin,
yeah, and very suspect fucking.
And his bonus was £118,000.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Oddly.
Yeah, which is, if you take an average American or UK bonus, probably less than 10% a year. Like, so you're talking that he's on at least £1 million a year.
Yeah.
No. I don't know.
Sense of pride.
Yeah, I think so. It's the trademark thing for me. They were saying in that documentary, you haven't used that as a weapon. You've used it as something to prod to see if you're still alive. You don't want to touch the corpse. You just want to fucking make sure it's still alive. And I think that's the best thing. As for the fucking garrote, I think that was probably something to do with the parents covering up. Have you
seen how it's tied? There's no way a 9-year-old tied that garrote. No.
Have you guys seen the bridge? Oh, sorry, The Lie.
Hold on. I think I have.
It's a film. It's a film about a girl who picks her friend up to go to some ballet class, and then her friend falls off a bridge and she claims she's killed her, and her parents cover up for her.
Yeah, I think I have seen that actually.
It's the guy from that Hilary Swank film where she pretends to be a guy, and she's a girl. It's very much like that.
Yeah, I understand.
It's called Boys Don't Cry.
Boys Don't Cry.
Don't cry.
Yeah, it's very much like that. The parents have definitely covered up for him, and fuck knows how, but it worked.
Money.
Well, yeah.
Influence. I'm just going to share my screen quickly to show you the garrote. There's no way a 9-year-old tied that. That is
no.
Look at the way that's been tied.
Fuck no. That's a professional tie.
What is all that hair in it?
That's JonBenet's hair.
There is no way a 9-year-old kid did that.
Do you know?
No way.
You know when I was just talking there about like how, and I've got you got to
unless he was a scout.
Well, sure, you would have found their otter, not otter. What's it called? I'm talking about beavers.
Woggle. Toggle, yeah.
Woggle, toggle.
Woggle.
Woggle.
No, what is it?
Woggle.
No, I'm sure it's a woggle.
It is a
was.
woggle.
It was.
No, is it a woggle or a toggle?
It's a woggle.
It was a woggle.
It's a fucking woggle.
Horribly named, but
the thing is that picture looks like someone has purposely put their hair in it. Because to him, if you're in prison and you do get convicted of it, you can assign your legacy to somebody. But if somebody's in prison for psychotic crimes, like he probably would have been, you can't. No, because they are deemed unusable of the crime, unusable of the money. So it would literally eventually go to the state. Which then but the state would be their family, so it makes no sense.
Oh. I didn't really
so you're on it as mainly the dad defending the son.
I think, yeah. So when I said before about how I think the dad is probably mostly to blame for it, because I don't think there's any denying that Burke did it.
No, exactly. That's why I did it. Yeah.
When we first started chatting about it, we were just like, Burke did it, and we both like, for anybody listening, me and Dean went like this. Huh, and shrugged our shoulders. We shrugged our shoulders. Not quite as camp women like I did it.
And if you look in the Discord on the 22nd of the 1st, which was 2 days ago, I shared a video of JonBenet Ramsey's brother breaks silence, 20 years murder, and I went, don't want to give anything away, but he probably did it. But maybe he didn't do it.
Sorry?
Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe it wasn't Burke. Maybe someone crept into the house while they were at the Christmas party, hid in JonBenet's room. When she was asleep, he tased her, took her downstairs. While he was waiting for them to come back for the thing, wrote a ransom note. He was from a small foreign faction. He wrote a ransom note asking for exactly $1,118,000. A really random, arbitrary amount of money. It doesn't really make any sense. Then put her on the stairs, put the note down there, took her into the basement, garroted her, then hit her over the head, and then left her for dead, put some duct tape over her mouth, and then snuck out, leaving no evidence. Maybe that happened.
Do we feel that the dad dictated to the wife to write that note? Because that seems like something to me.
Well,
which is
because
if they'd have not involved that note, because we were talking about deception of evidence and stuff like that. It feels
the note is fully, and I mean I've back and forth so much over whether it was a member of the fam inside the house or outside the house. Even now, I'm trying to find like there's this guy Randy Simons who was a Nancy photographer of the pageants, and everyone said there's something odd about him. But he was in love with JonBenet Ramsey. Like loads of these pedos that photographed the pageants. Were in love with this girl because she was friendly. She was
word a bitch. Like a mum.
she was sexualized to the point of like basically a stripper. at the age of 6.
Yeah, they were all sexualized.
And it was, and then these men were in love with her. So they were easy. Like it's easy to go, it was this paedophile, it was this guy, it was this guy. But none of these guys have there's no evidence, firstly. There's no way these fat fuckers could have squeezed through that
that's a
that
small
basement
window as well in that
window,
basement that was open.
Right. And a 6'4", 180-pound man did it. Okay, so he was a tall man, but he wasn't a fat photographer paedophile.
Right.
So a lot of people. So the easy thing to do is to completely, like, you could tell that no one's been arrested for it. It's so easy in America that you see people just getting labeled with a crime. Look at the West Memphis Three. Look at Making a Murderer. Look at all those different times that people have been done for crimes. Have you seen Fear of the Number 13 on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
He didn't do it. He was put in prison for it, and he was on death row for it, for a murder. Only because he had a little bit of information, and the police wanted to screw him over because he spat in a cop's face. So it's so easy for people to just get arrested and put in prison for things. This didn't happen this time. They couldn't pin it on anyone else. So it just went unsolved because there was enough money coming from that was a rich, well-to-do white family with government ties that got away with it. And
is there a reason behind the fact that when you ever see any kind of investigative thing now, they always go, "Oh, it's just another Boulder, Colorado." They always say it's just another Boulder. Is there a reason that was there a case before that? Yeah, they always say, "Oh, it's just another Boulder." Like anytime you ever watch anything, they're always like, "Oh, it's a Boulder, it's a Boulder." Have you never noticed that?
no,
Like they say it a lot in everything.
well, in Boulder,
because they always say little rock and Boulder.
do you know what? Actually, I did hear a reason for this. So Boulder is a very libertarian city. So they don't want to they're very light on prosecutions. So they never prosecuted any drug cases.
Because they're all high.
Yeah, there was not a lot of prosecutions that were heavy-handed. So like look in Arkansas, heavy-handed DAs that just want to get their arrests, they want to get their numbers up. I think Boulder was very like, no, we're not just going to go in gung-ho and just arrest people and just put the crime on them. So I think that's kind of where the Boulder thing comes in. But yeah, I've tried my hardest to find a suspect that was outside the house. I wanted it to be a prowler. I wanted it to be someone broke in and did it, and
you wanted it someone from the pageants.
I wanted it to be like Ghislaine Maxwell, like someone involved with them. I wanted it to be
or a flat earther.
Yeah, no, we love the flat Earth community.
Come on,
we love the flat Earth community.
Jesus.
Thank you to the flat Earth.
You can
community.
still be a flat earther and be a paedophile. There's no fucking like.
I guarantee that there are flat Earth.
You ain't gonna be here next week, JJ.
Yeah, they're coming to get you, mate.
What's this?
Right off the edge. So I've.
What is he doing?
He's got. That's a Death Star.
Death Star.
Yeah, but it's flat. It's flat this way.
So I have exhausted all I have done. My research was to try and find how did Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, one of their cronies trying to kidnap the kid for the island, fuck up and end up killing her. I've tried it. I've listened to podcasts where like the last podcast on the left, which normally I think they do a really good job of researching stuff, but this one they just flat out just went with they towed the line and went, no, they were exonerated. It's definitely not the family, but it had to be someone in that house that did it. And the only person I think that could have done it is Burke. And the only people stupid enough to cover up a crime the way they did are rich white people. Like, the only people that are going to come up with, let's write a ransom note and then hog tie our daughter and chuck her in the basement and then hide the body and then write a ransom note. It's white people would do that.
Was she hog tied?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm going to say.
I read she was hog tied.
Did you? Oh, fucking hell. No, I'm lost. I'm lost.
It's
exhausting. I know, it's so exhausting because it's just like, it's your fucking family. But
she was posed.
Yeah, did you see the interviews, the CBN or CNN interview they did? And it's the body language analyst. And they're talking about how the first thing they say is she's quite obviously subdued. Like she's been given drugs to like calm her down and stuff. Just because she's like this, like blinking a little bit. Like for people who are listening, I'm blinking slowly.
So we hadn't got onto that yet because I forgot that.
Yeah, I know. We just lost it, but I watched it, but I just don't. The problem is with that, it's a guy on YouTube who claims he's a body analyst.
Did you watch the one with the 4 guys on it, or just one guy?
I watched the one with one guy, and then I watched the one with 2 guys on it.
I watched one. There's 4 guys, all experts in different types of body language and the way things. And some guys that trained government officials on lying and like talking to the press.
But you know, none of these body language guys stand up in court. So we watch them as like a human thing. Ben's gone. we watch them as a human thing. So we immediately we always tie everything that we've got down to how we act and how we move.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's not none of it is liable in court. So like it doesn't matter. Like the problem is,
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to prove to a jury that you've done it. But if you say to them, "Oh, look at the way that this guy moves,"
I've thought of that so many times when they're just like, "Oh, he blinked," he blinks like sort of like this, or he's clearing his throat a lot. I sit there and I'm like, I've got terrible sinuses. I have postnasal drip.
You can't do that. And also,
I'd be framed for a murder just like that.
as being like subliminally, you can't take that away now. In the last 20 years, like I watched this forensic scientist guy say that the thing is with all these things is loads of people like watching these things about like forensic scientists and psychologists and stuff like that. He said the problem is while these people are watching these things, they're subliminally trying to change what they're doing. Yeah. So if you say to somebody you're deceiving, you know, for instance, the polygraph test is the best part about it, the best evidence for it. Because people have learned to trick the polygraph test from what people have learned from the polygraph test. Right. So if he was sweaty, he was subdued, blah, blah, blah. And they say no evidence from the polygraph test. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that it's just meh. So what? Yeah. Like I always like to think like I meet people and sometimes and they're like, for instance, there's a guy who gets tattooed at the shop and he's like, he considers himself a bit of it's worse, but he considers himself like a manipulator. And I'm just like, you won't fucking get past me. I don't tattoo him, so it's all right. Yeah. But you won't get past me because I can tell you're a sneaky cunt. Yeah. Like I can tell it. I can just tell it.
Some people are easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And some people can see through. I can see through bullshit. Like that. I go, you're lying. Like even on from one text or something, I'll go, well, that's a lie.
Yeah, you can read anything.
Because I am a bullshitter. So I know. You can't bullshit a bullshitter because I know.
I'd say
is that a famous line from Role Models?
Isn't it?
You can't BS a BSer.
Oh yeah. What's this? With the hot dog. Oh, it's such a great film.
I know.
Right, let's wrap this up, boys. Come on.
Yeah, so I would say, I think Burke did it. She took his pineapple and he was trying to eat it. She snuck down and went, took a bit of pineapple and it went, that's my pineapple! Bang! And that's it, and she's dead. And then the mum and dad hear the scream that the neighbour heard at the same time. They hear it, run downstairs. They went, what did you do? What did you do? And then
Burke's like, don't give a fuck.
Which we didn't speak about. If you listen really, really closely.
No, you can't. No, you can't hear it. You can't hear it. People who say they can hear it are lying. But you can listen to anything long enough and you'll hear something.
So what's this?
In the 911 call, apparently, if you turn up the thing when Patsy Ramsey goes quiet, if you turn it up,
you'd have to turn it right up.
What did you do? But she did.
It's basically the same as the spirit box from the Hellier episode.
Oh, okay.
If you turn it right up, you could probably hear somebody going, Paul is dead. Paul is dead.
Paul is dead.
I really wanted, but like I said, I really wanted it to be a small foreign faction that agreed with what John did, but not his country. I wanted the ransom note to be real. I want it to all be like dodgy as fuck, but it's just
I agree.
Fucking rich people getting away with murder.
Yep.
Covering up for their kid. Yeah.
Burke did it. Rich people getting away with murder. Parents covered it up because they are proud white rich people. That's literally it.
It is.
And they're probably Republicans.
Probably. But they claim to be Democrats.
Right.
Oh.
Got to wrap that up.
And that is the official.
Done. Burke, if you're watching this,
you're a
wanker.
And like I said, he's 9 years old, and they've actually probably fucked him up, his parents, by doing that, by covering it up. He could have got help. He could have seen psychiatric help. He would have been out. Probably would have been still a fucking weirdo, but
I reckon Burke's probably going to be still searching things about JonBenet, and he's going to come across this and be like, look at these three likable British fellas.
Yeah.
Oh, the Brits! I love the Brits.
I got through 3 hours
like
of it, and then they all pinned it on me.
Oh, they're flat earthers too, just like me.
Yes, that is
Thanks
the
again.
end of JonBenet Ramsey, the death of, well, it was a death. She did die. I don't know why I did the inverted
Oh, she did die.
quotation marks there. But next podcast, JJ, what's it going to be?
We're going to do Robert Durst. He's the
Durst.
fucking, like, if you haven't heard of Robert Durst, you need to fucking search it. I found out about it about 4 years ago. So fucking good.
Never heard of it.
So good.
Never
Looking
mind. I
forward
don't know
to it.
anything about it, which is a nice coming into one.
In the meantime, watch The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst.
No, because that's where I'm going to get all my information.
That's where all the information is. Just to clarify, it's not Fred Durst, the lead singer of Limp Bizkit.
Who lied to me once?
So he's a bullshitter, is he?
Yeah. I called him out as well, which I was pretty proud of calling him out. Thank you again for listening. Make sure you join the Discord if you can. Join the Patreon. It's
Information in the description.
$1 minimum tier thing. We got it the lowest it can be.
Buy some socks.
NAC.
NAC at ogsocks.co.uk. NAC for your 20% off code.
Best
You can buy some
fucking
socks.
They're
They're
definitely
definitely going to do a fucking collaboration with us. They're just in a collaboration with some fucking donut shop.
They just did
Gotta
what
do it.
Wade McNeil, didn't they, as well?
What?
Oh, they've got to do it. They've got to do it.
They'll do a collab with us. JJ's on that.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get some socks sorted. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't involved really in JonBenet's death.
She kind of was.
We all wanted it to be.
But Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. either.
Neither did Jeffrey Epstein. He did not kill himself.
And there is the sticker. Hold on. Podcasters. There you go. Look, there's the sticker,
Set the sticker.
on my shelf. Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill her. Oh, no. Ghislaine Maxwell one is up there. Sorry, that's the not enough. There's the Ghislaine Maxwell one. Look, on the middle shelf there. There it is. Look, that one there.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
It's not stuck on anything.
You haven't put it on anything. It's just a sticker.
Not yet. It's there, baby. Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. It's going on my car.
Good shit.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's what happens. When it comes to it,
In the
think, oh, maybe they did. So in the back, there isn't
light brown jacket.
cool story.
Without the